IoT Expo 2017，我们的议程即将在3分钟后正式开始，请您尽速就座。为了维护活动的品质，请将您的手机调整至震动或者是关机。同时提醒您，会议全程禁止录音、录影以及饮食。谢谢您的配合。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the IoT Expo 2017. As the conference will begin shortly, please be seated as soon as possible. We would also like to remind you to turn off your mobile phones or switch them into the vibration mode. Video recording, photography, eating, and drinking are not allowed in the conference room. Thank you for your cooperation.
By letting our management team generate service and cleaning plans in real time. The solution can share a guest's preferences with the staff to ensure they have the great experience we are expected to deliver. We can do this and create savings for more efficient operations by taking advantage of the IoT technology and deliver to our guests the Steigenberger experience of true luxury.
We come to work every day to pilot, test, and launch new technology solutions. Real-time ID check is the latest technology example where we at Uber are constantly developing and testing new solutions to predict, prevent, and reduce security risks in ways that weren't possible before. It's through this partnership with Microsoft that we've been able to develop this technology quickly and ensure that every rider and every driver has an excellent experience. Real-time ID check is a prompt that appears in the driver's app asking them to take a self-photo. We can do a check in real time to make sure that that identity of the person who took the picture matches the account holder who's been approved to drive. Doing that serves a couple of purposes. Drivers know that their identities and their accounts are being protected, and riders know that the driver who they're with has been screened.
Jen?
Evan?
Yeah.
Real-time ID is a smart technology. What that means is it factors in and addresses the edge cases. The situation where the driver is wearing glasses or a hat and they weren't in the identification that we have on file. The beautiful thing is it can recognize these changes and ask the driver to remove their sunglasses or retake the photo. The partnership with Microsoft Cognitive Services allowed us to go from idea to execution to implementation across the country in a matter of months. Already, we've been able to make thousands of rides safer, and very soon we're going to be making millions of rides safer through this technology.
Everyone, 欢迎来到 IoT Expo 2017，现在活动正式开始。首先，我们很荣幸地邀请到经济部龚明鑫次长为我们带来主题演讲。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the IoT Expo 2017. At the beginning of the event, we are honored to have our keynote speaker, Dr. Gong Mingxin, the Deputy Minister of Ministry of Economic Affairs, to give us the keynote speech. 让我们以热烈的掌声欢迎经济部龚明鑫次长。
在座微软的朋友，大家午安，大家好，以及微软的资深副总这个 Jason， 还有来自海外许多的贵宾，欢迎到台湾来。那今天非常高兴有这个机会，可以借用一点点时间来跟各位说明跟报告有关于台湾现在在推动的一项有关于物联网产业发展的一些推动计划。那它的名字就叫做亚洲矽谷的推动方案。那它主要是希望说，台湾可以从一个 IT 的产业发展，进阶到一个 IoT 的一个万物联网的一个发展时代的来临。这是一个很大很大的一个转型计划。那以下我大概占用一点点时间来跟各位做一些说明。那我简单的向各位大概分成这几个来跟各位报告哈。那我想物联网的一些发展，就是 IoT 的发展，大概 在座的各位都已经知道了，它是一个非常非常重要的一个发展趋势。那如果按照这个McKinsey 的估计来讲的话，在2025的时候呢，可能创造的市场价值可以达到6.2兆的美元。那我一直在讲说，台湾如果在这个商机上可以 catch 5%的比例，就有3000亿的美元，就相当于是10兆的台币。那对于台湾来讲的话，是一个非常非常大的一个新的一个成长动能所以台湾是不可能会不参与这样的一场圣战等等的一些情况。那为什么这个物联网它的发展可以有这么大的一个可能的效应呢？现在看起来预估这个时间可能还会提前。我们可以看到就是说这个大爆发的时代有可能是在2020年以后就会看到明显的快速的成长的一些发展。但是以现在的发展趋势上来讲的话，有可能这个时间点会还要往前等等一些情况。各位可以看到包括现在 AI 的一些相关技术的推展等等的一些情况，这个情况非常非常的热络那最主要的理由，整个 IoT 时代来临，因为它的应用范围非常非常的广泛从这个最主要的最重要的包括智慧工厂或智慧制造也好，或者是Smart City 也好或者是个人的穿戴，或者是 Retail 等等的一些情况，通通可以用物联网的方式提供一些新的 solution 跟 idea 出来，提供给消费者有一些新的应用跟服务，所以它的商机是如此的巨大。那刚才我们可以看到，就是说，到了2025年，可能有2025年的情况可能有6.2兆美元的这样的一个市场价值。但是按照 McKinsey 的估计来讲的话，额外的无形的创造的价值可能有5兆美元，这个就是可以因为透过物联网可以让我们生产效率的更能够提升，或者是我们生活的更健康交通不会阻塞等等的一些情况，那一个无形的资产呢，可以有 create 另外一个5兆的价值所以就是说不管是提升生活品质也好，或者是创造市场价值也好，物联网都是未来产业发展的重中之重。所以为什么台湾会这么样的重视这样的一个发展的一个趋势？那对台湾来讲的话，我们就有设定了所谓的As in Silicon Valley Development Plan 这样的亚洲点矽谷的一个推动计划。那它主要是透过了整个台湾产业在过去的 IT 产业作为基础之上往上 upgrade， 推进到这个物联网产业的一些推动，然后再加上一些创新创业的一些支持跟推进，那使得可以支撑整个台湾在未来的情况之下，不管对于这个经济上可以拉动情况之下呢，另外也可以提升我们的生活品质，创造更好的优质就业，然后也可以使得台湾真正可以转型到以这个创新为驱动的这样的一个经济体。那它有4个策略在这个从去年底开始推动以来，我们大概有4个策略。第一个主要的策略是说在透过这个计划，我们要把台湾的所谓的创新创业的生态体系把它 build up 起来。等一下向各位报告是如何的把这样的生态体系 build up 起来。那当然是我们是希望去学习矽谷的一些方式来做。为什么叫做亚洲点矽谷这样的一个情况？第二个重点就在于透过这样的一个计划，可以连接到包括矽谷全世界最重要的这样的科技的聚落，把台湾的成长跟全世界的成长可以紧紧的连接在一起。那这个是第2个策略。那第3个策略呢，就是整个物联网呢，它的 value chain 或者是 ecosystem 可以把它完善起来。那等一下向各位报告怎么样去做。那第4个就是有一个新的示范性计划跟示范场域，把台湾变成最重要 IoT 的 test bed 这样的一个4项策略。那在今年的计划里面呢，我们大概台湾总共匡列了104亿的台币来推动这样的一个计划就是相当于30多亿的美金来推动这样的计划3点多亿 anyway 来推动这样的计划。那今年明年的情况大概经费也匡列了所以就是说等于是台湾的这个产业转型的重中之重的计划。那首先就是说怎么样我们去完善这一个 所以创新创业的生态体系呢，那这个整个生态体系的 player 事实上就是中间这一块哦，它包括的成员呢，这 player 包括它的 startup 也好，或者是大公司也好，或是SME 中小企业也好，那也包括了学校，还有一些研发机构。好，那我们希望说这样的生态体系呢，它的核心是以R&D 或者创新为核心，成为一个 cluster 的这样的一个生态体系。那政府可以做些什么呢？政府可以做些就是外圈的这一圈政府可以做的部分那就是说有一些就是主要在人才上面可以国际跟台湾的人才更重要的交流，或create更重要的一些软体或者是跨领域的人才的一些培养。那第二个就是资金上的一些协助。那我们也陆续推动了很多的一些VC 也好，或天使的一些 fund 来支持这个创新创业的一些活动。那第三个就是法规上的一些松绑，让新创呢可以透过这些不断的实验或失败也好，不断的有它的这个成长的力道发展起来。那第四个就是说，我们成为一个很重要的把这些 player 紧密结合的一个整合的一个 platform。那这个是政府可以帮忙的一件事情。那比较细部的来讲的话，这几个活动大概是这样子。第一个就是有关于人才的部分。人才的部分呢，台湾现在呢就是法规上的一些松绑，让国外的一些人才呢更能够容易到台湾来。现在呢我们已经设定一个人才专法，是因应于海外的人才到台湾来。将来这些海外的人才呢，在台湾他所做的待遇呢，基本上会跟台湾的国民呢几乎是相近的，就是国民待遇这样的一个情况那另外一个呢，我们也希望就是说，全世界的学生也好，或者是新创企业更能够到台湾来，等等的一些情况，在法规上，而且我们也有一些 incentive 提供给这些新创企业或者是学生。那我们也设立了一个单一的窗口，让这些想要在台湾来的，不管是学生、人才、新创企业，可以得到一站式的服务，等等一些情况。那左半边呢，主要是强调的就是说，在人才跟国际的交流之外，除了一些刚才提到的一些跨领域的人才、软体性的人才，我们有更强烈的这个策略在进行之外呢，我们也希望就是说，台湾的学生、台湾的人才可以跟国际到海外去，也许在2年、3年的时间，在那边做学习，然后可以吸收到最先进的知识，跟台湾来做一些互动跟合作，等等一些情况。那这个就是主要在人才的这个增加的供给方面。那第二块就是有关于资金的协助方面。那以下来讲，下面这个是既有的现在对于新创事业的一些合作，从最早期的最早期的部分SBIR 开始，然后还有一些就是一些计划上的一些补助等等的一些情况然后到后来有一些融资上的一些协助那现在我们加强了一些在风险性投资上的一些协助那我们成立了一个 Angel Fund， 那这个 Angel Fund 呢，现在第2期又框列的大概10亿的台币那如果有需要的话，还可以再框列。那这个是跟 Angel Club 来做一些合作如果认为就是说值得去投资的一些新创事业或是年轻的学生，我们就会用这个 fund 来投资。那投资呢，我们一个案子大概会投大概500亿的台币。如果跟 Angel Fund 来共同合作，它第一桶金至少就有1000亿的台币，可以来做1-2年的一些它的一个事件性的一些做法那如果过了第1阶段以后呢，可以进入到 VC 的阶段。那这个 VC 阶段来讲的话，台湾已经现在成立了一个所谓的国家级的投资公司，那所框列的预算呢，大概是100亿的台币。那这个100亿的台币呢，就可以就是说，当你进入到 A 轮天使轮完之后，进入到 A 轮、B 轮的情况之下，那可以从这个资金来跟民间的VC 来共同合作来投资这样。我们也可以投资海外的公司，那只是说投资海外以后，希望这些海外的公司可以跟台湾形成一个良性的循环等等一些情况。那如果说你这个公司呢已经 IPO 以后了，但是你需要透过物联网或者其他的创新转型的机会的情况之下，我们也框列了1000亿的台币，可以提供企业来做创新转型资金上的一些需求。所以就是说，在资金上来讲的话， 基本上不再只是一个融资上的协助而已，最重要是投资上的协助，也就是提供你风险性的分担的鼓励等等一些情况。再来就是有关于法规松绑，数位经济时代的来临，法规来讲最重要的就是因应于这个数位时代的一些法规上的一些松绑。那分成2个部分，左半边是一个主要的这个数位经济的一个基本架构，包括资通安全、资讯通讯安全的一些法规上的一些制度上的建立。第二个，公司可以更公司法的全面修正，让新创事业可以更容易的就是成立他的公司来营运他的一些公司的一些计划，然后还有一些监理沙盒的一些设计，新创的监理沙盒的设计。另外还有一些如果是应用端的 issue 来讲的话，包括 e-commerce 也好，或是 fintech 也好，或是 sharing economy 也好，事实上都有相关一些设计等等的一些情况。那当然也有一些法规上的怎么样让这些产学研更容易紧密的合作比如说科技基本法的一些修正产创条例的一些修正，让新创还有政府都可以帮助一些忙等等一些情况，就是法规上大幅度的修改，让它可以更开放、透明、国际化这个是一个最重要的一个发展的一些方向。那在这个class 的提供情况之下来讲的话，我们现在有很多的新创聚落，包括台湾的北部、中部、南部都有这样的一个 startup 的一些 hub 的设立，然后透过这些连结性的一些 startup hub 呢，可以跟国际有更好的连结性的一些效果等等一些情况。那第二个主要的计划就是亚洲点矽谷，就是要连接矽谷的这个创新能量那创新能量来讲的话，我们透过了以目前来讲的话，我们已经在台湾除了这个SBDA 就是亚洲点矽谷执行中心的成立，它有一个单一窗口的联合办公室已经成立。在美国湾区呢，它也成立一个联合办公室，也已经成立了。那之后呢，这2个在台湾的这个办公室跟美国的办公室呢，就可以非常及时性的，不管是技术上或 information 上的互相的连通跟交流，而且呢，人才可以互相交流等等的一些情况就是台湾几乎将来所有的发展呢，我们就希望可以跟矽谷同步等等一些情况。同时呢，我们也参加很多的国际上的一些创新创业的大会比如说 GEC 还有前一阵子才在美国华府办的这个智慧城市的一些展览 ，GCTC 的一些展览台湾的6个都还有1个县都去做参加的等等一些情况，这是国际上的连结的部分那再来就是有关于就是说，我们也希望欢迎就是全世界的这些不管是新创企业也好，大企业也好，都到台湾来共同参与这样的一些活动跟计划那第一个再度的感谢微软公司。是在这个去年的大概10月份，也就是去年的520之后，第一个在台湾成立的物联网的创新中心。事实上，这一个中心的成立，也为台湾带来了一个引领的效果。那后续包括了 Qualcomm 也好，或是 FB 也好甚至于现在亚马逊的AWS 等等的一些情况也好，还有这个思科。事实上，都陆续到台湾来成立有关于物联网的，不管是创新中心，或是研发中心，或是认证中心等等的一些情况，看到了一些蓬勃发展的一些趋势。等一下，我再向各位报告一些数据等等一些情况。那除了这之外，我刚才特别提到的我们也会把国际的 startup 事实上引介到台湾来那我们也把台湾的 startup 带到全世界去那这都有相关性的计划，包括我们 TSS 的计划啦等等一些情况。那我们也透过了这个台湾的几个重要的 event， 把全世界的 startup 引到台湾来包括在6月份举办的这个 Innovex， 那里面有这个2016年的部分就有很多的媒合活动，还有这一次的这个WCIT 我们也有另外的媒合活动，到下半年还有一个 Mid Taipei 的活动，也有新创的媒合活动，那造成了这个，而且现在我们看到的投资人跟这些新创业者都不是只有 local 而已，已经变成真正的全球化跟亚洲的一些新创的一个发展聚落等等一些情况。 那第三个就是说，怎么样去 build up 这个 IoT 的一些 ecosystem 呢？事实上，我们要做4件事情。第一个事情就是说，怎么样把这个学校它的软体还有跨领域的能量引导到这个 ecosystem 里面来。好，那这个就是我们第一项要做的事情。那第二项就是说，很多的研究的机构，它已经发展很好的技术，怎么样透过一些刚才提的商业化的机制，把它 spin off 出来。我们用资金上的协助也好，或等等的一些情况也好，让它真的可以spin off 出来，变成一个 startup， 然后可以活络整个一些 ecosystem。好，那第三个就是最重要的，就是说有一些关键性的技术。好，关键性的技术还是需要做一些开发，不管是软体的技术还是硬体的技术。那这个部分政府会有很大的在经费上可以很大的协助跟帮忙。好，那希望成立这样的一个 ecosystem 的一些情况。那这一图要特别向各位报告，我想整个 IoT 最重要，为什么它有一个很好的一个 ecosystem 就是这样。因为整个 IoT 最重要还是在它的核心还是在 data， 所以不管是透过了这个sensor 层，它收集到资料以后，透过这个通讯层，然后到这个 data center 里面做一些集中，然后经过 data center 的一些 big data 的分析以后，那就可以提供一些 application 跟 service 的一些应用，新的创新一些发展。那我们想就是说，各位如果有看到很多的这个报道讲，现在已经是属于第3次的数位革命。第1次的数位革命就是这个网络的兴起，所以网络的兴起最重要就是在下一层或者是第2层这个部分。这个是属于比较数位的 infrastructure 的发展。那这个时候台湾还是蛮强的，还有一些企业也是很强。但是到了第2次的所谓的数位革命的时候，就来到 mobile 的时代。云端的时代，所以，但是这个部分呢，台湾在全世界来讲稍微比较弱一点。Anyway， 那包括微软也好，包括这个 AWS 也好 ，Anyway， 这个都是很重要的这个云的一些企业。但是到了这个万物联网的时代来的时候呢，只有云它是没有办法成为最重要的一个完整的 solution 的。因为我们都刚才提到了，万物联网的时代呢，必须这个4个层，它必须一个高度的整合，才可以提供一个完整的 solution 给消费者。好，那你有很好的平台，有很好的这个软体技术，你如果没有跟下端的这2个结合来讲的话，你是没有办法提供给这个application 跟 service development 它一个很好的环境可以去 develop。唯有这样的情况，唯有第3层跟下2层的强结合，才有办法提供一个好的环境，给这些 development 更好的环境，可以去做 startup 等等的一些情况。那台湾在这方面是非常强的，我们也非常希望，全世界最好的这个云或平台可以跟台湾来做连接，等等的一些，尤其是在万物联网的时代来讲的话，不可能所有的功能都放在云上面，是不可能的事情，一定是在 Edge 端。它就必须处理掉很多的，包括 AI 的问题，包括资讯安全的问题等等的一些，就是 embedded 在这个 Edge 端要有很多的创意跟创新的发想。那这个就是台湾最重要的长项等等的一些情况。如果可以强结合来讲的话，我们就可以提供给 development 最好的一个环境来做一些发展。等一下向各位报告这1年的变化的一些数据，我们已经看到了一些很重要的一些成果。所以在这个部分呢，我们就要集合很多厂商的力量，可以把这个事情做成。所以我们成立了一个物联网的产业大联盟。那这个物联网的产业大联盟呢，从开始成立的时候呢是80几个单位，现在已经超过了230个单位，大概有500-600家企业共同来参与台湾的部分。那这个都是对于 IoT 很有兴趣，而且已经有一些成果的一些厂商在做一些发展。我们希望透过这个联盟呢，可以做成4件事情。第一件事情就是说，怎么样透过大家的合作以后，形成一个 solution 的一个团队出来。这个是一个最重要的一个，不管 anyway 叫做国家队也好，或国际队也好，等等一些情况。那第2个就是说，我们希望就是透过这样的一个发展以后，慢慢的可以形成一个产业的标准。等等的一些情况，因为要高度的整合之下，必须要有标准式的一些连通，你才有办法成为一个连结。好，那第3个就是说，我们透过这个联盟呢，可以提供政府很多很好的一些建议， 那第4个就是说，我们希望透过这个联盟的提案呢，可以跟台湾政府的 budget 可以link在一起，有这样的一个功能。那这个我就要刚才向各位报告过了，现在已经有230个单位以上共同的参与这一个活动。那现在大概厂商已经有500-600家的相关的一些活动等等一些情况所以一切不管是国内国外知名的厂商都已就引到这样的一个那我们现在初步来讲的话，大概有分成8个 SIG， 就是8个分组的一些情况包括了智慧交通也好，或是智慧家庭，或者是工业4.0，或者是智慧的这个 healthcare 就是智慧的健康、农业，还有智慧商业，还有物流等等环境监控。那现在还有资讯安全。事实上，这个分组呢，透过大家的分组讨论合作以后，事实上已经有共同的一些提案发展出来了等等一些情况好，那我们也有一些示范性，由上而下的一些示范性的一些产业计划在做一些推动那我们试想就是说，以台湾的发展的一些强项跟利基来发展出最重要的一些示范性的一些计划跟应用端比如说刚才特别提到的一些logistic 的部分，就是智慧的物流，或者是将来的这个无人自驾车也好，或者是智慧的健康照护也好，或者是智慧的机器人也好，或者是智慧城市也好，这个台湾就已经有很好的基础。那我们在这个基础之下，提供更多的一些示范性的一些计划在进行那也不单单只是在北部而已我们希望北部、中部跟南部将来全台湾都有一些示范性的一些智慧化的一些在做推动比如说很多的这个智慧化的工业区也可以在做台湾大概中央政府呢所列管的工业区大概60几个全台湾包括私人部分有200-300个工业区。那如果这个工业区可以透过智慧化提升它的效能来讲的话，那可以很大的商机跟很大的贡献。那我们也将来希望就是说，如果这个有成果的话，可以推介到包括东南亚全世界的智慧工厂或者是智慧的工业园区去类似有这样的概念那初步来讲的话，我们大概锁定了几个部分，一个部分就在智慧城市里面，包括智慧交通，还有智慧医疗照护，因为台湾有很好的医疗照护体系的 data， 就是我们的健保的资料将来可以运用。那第3个就是一个制造平台的一些设计，等等一些情况。那我们未来呢也会 focus 在几个方面，我们重中之重来作为推进的一些主要力量。那第一个大概就是这个 supply security 因为将来 IoT 万物联网的时代，如果没有资讯安全，那这个商机是危险。所以这个变成重中之重，而且这也是全世界国际大厂都愿意跟台湾合作最重要的项目。那再来就是无人自驾车，台湾呢事实上有能力可以从车子的原型一直到甚至于到 EV embed 在里面，然后到后来无人自驾车可以发展出来。那我们可以经过一次的一些就是乱过一次以后，我们知道我们的强项在哪里，可以跟国际来做一些谈判跟合作，我们可以贡献我们最强的地方。那再来就是有关于 AR、VR 的一些应用，这个应用已经应用在很多的旅游方面，所以娱乐方面、教育方面，现在已经 embedded 开始有这样的一些活动。然后还有一些这个行动生活，就是我们希望在2020年的时候呢，所有国外来的旅客也好，或者是访客也好，只要有一只手机就可以，包括支付，还有上这个捷运等等，上高铁支付等等的一些情况，只要一只手机就可以畅通无阻。我们希望达到那样的一个境界那另外最主要的就是 AI 时代的来临AI 时代也是我们整个亚洲点矽谷最重要，因为 AI。它就是一个物联网跟传统我们原来的这个半导体中间最重要的一个桥梁，把它连接起来。那这个台湾是一个非常非常大的一个发展机会，所以各位也可以看到，最近好多全世界的 AI 人才都汇集到台湾来，或者是回到台湾来，因为它有很大的一些发展空间。因为这个 AI 将来可以应用的领域实在是太广了台湾有很多的这个 domain 的 industry 可以透过 AI 的技术，可以提升更高的附加价值出来。好，那我们有很好的，已经有一个执行中心在做一些推进。好，那我们希望在透过未来在几年的努力之下呢，我们希望将来可以就是1、2、3、4、5一个在 create 的一个软体跟跨领域人才的一个学习的虚拟平台。第二个，我们希望成功的吸引全世界最主要的这个公司到台湾来跟共同合作。事实上，这个目标已经达成了，包括微软，包括这个 Qualcomm， 包括这个思科，包括 AWS 等等的一些情况。但是我们欢迎更多的企业到台湾来跟我们共同合作。那我们希望经过几年的努力以后呢，可以有3家的国际级的 SI 公司可以帮台湾的这行的 solution 呢输出到海外去，等等的一些情况。那我们希望在未来的几年内呢，可以成功的塑造有100家的成功的一些新创企业，或者是它的研发中心在台湾成立。那我们希望就是在2025年的时候，可以达到整个物联网全世界5%的比例，也就是创造那个3000亿美金的市场价值出来。这个是我们目标。那有些人会问，就是说，Why Taiwan？ 那也许提供各位几个数据来讲，台湾因为有非常非常好的制造能量跟能力，我刚才特别提到，已经在 PC 跟 IC 的世代已经有很好的基础，很多的我们都在全世界的排名上都占到第1位或第2位的一个地位，表示我们在这个电子领域里面呢，能量是非常非常的强大，等等的一些情况。那我们有很好的 ODM 厂商，我们有很好的这个制造业的这个中小企业，有超过14万家的中小企业的制造厂商。当然，整个中小企业是不止，整个中小企业是130几万家的中小企业厂商等等一些情况。另外来讲的话整个国际上的有一些评比的部分比如说这个 development 的最好的一些环境里面很多的评比都可以排到全世界第5到第9的这样的一个地位。但是等一下向各位报告，事实上我觉得这个名次还会持续再往上升等等一些情况那台湾在整个台湾的北部里面有最完整的这个 IT 的聚落那这个是提供全世界最好的人可以来做一些合作的一些对象。那第3个来讲的话台湾也是整个大亚洲地区最重要的一个 hub 从地理的环境上来讲都是如此所以各位，我想也许各位也知道，现在台湾的桃园机场呢，已经成为很多东南亚它在连接北美最重要的一个转机的一个机场了，最重要的一个地方了。所以我们希望就是说，这些人才都可以透过台湾来做一些转换等等一些情况。那更重要的是，我们听过很多的外商告诉我们，就是说台湾最重要可以合作的价值在哪里？第一个，我们就是有最优秀的人才，工程师是在台湾；第二个，我们有非常好的 IPR 的保护环境。所有的创新创业最重要的就是要 IPR 保护。那台湾是在亚洲是排好全世界是第4的，就是第4的地位。那从人才上来讲呢，有一些排名几乎在亚洲全部都是第1名，最好的工程师都在台湾，等等一些情况。那已经形成一个很好的一个创新创业的 ecosystem 等等的一些成立的。那我再提供几个数字给各位。台湾来讲的话，最近从2013年到现在2017年，大概是3年半的时间里面呢，总共的新创企业呢，就是新的中小企业开始呢，总共呢在这3年半的时间内呢，出现的这个中小企业大概有20万家的中小企业。那其中呢，大概有25000家呢是跟 IoT 有关。那其中呢，事实上是超过1万家呢，基本上它是布局在所谓的 application 跟 service 的这个 level。这一层，这个跟我们原先的想象落差很大，好像台湾事实上只是布局在这个 Edge 端而已。Edge 端的确是多，它有7000多家，没有错。但是我们看到了更多的年轻人，基本上是布局在这 application 跟 service， 台湾有很大已经开始做一些转型等等的一些情况，而且这种转型呢，事实上我们看到了一些趋势，可以看到，就是从去年的6月开始，也就是近1年的时间里面，看到了这个明显的趋势，就是应用层跟这个服务层里面呢，事实上这个趋势快速的飙升，就是它比例上来讲，所有的中小企业它成立呢，它已经超过52%呢，是布局在这个 application 跟 service 这个部分。所以我要告诉各位的这个，不论是国内或国外的朋友，事实上台湾已经有这样的准备，就是这些年轻人他已经准备好，你只要提供给他很好的平台跟很好的工具来讲，他就愿意站在这个 development 的这些方式来创造更多的一些发展跟创新出来。所以呢，最后一句向各位报告的是，台湾已经 ready 了 ，Well to join us。谢谢。
我们谢谢龚司长。接下来，我们很高兴地邀请到 Microsoft Azure 团队的企业副总裁 Mr. Jason Zander 为我们带来引领企业数位转型，育成物联网生态系。Ladies and gentlemen, it's our pleasure to introduce you Mr. Jason Zander, the Corporate Vice President of Microsoft Azure team in the Cloud and Enterprise Group, who will discuss leading digital transformation with strong IoT partner ecosystem. 让我们以热烈的掌声欢迎 Mr. Jason Zander.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. We're honored to have you here today. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Dr. Kung, for that fantastic speech and overview. There's a lot of fascinating information in there. We're also looking at a lot of the exact same trends. That's why we're also investing here. So we're very happy to be here. At Microsoft, our mission is to empower every individual and every organization to achieve more. So today, we want to talk about that same innovation, but within the context of IoT for our IoT Expo. Let's go ahead and get started. I think it's easy enough for us to look at the innovation that has happened, and especially in the place of manufacturing and where we have so much success that are here. We've seen multiple levels of innovation, starting all the way back with steam engines and moving on to electricity, the introduction of software and IT into that, and of course we get out to Industry 4.0. And whether you call it IoT, Industry 4.0, Industrial Internet of Things, there's multiple names being used. In some ways, in our manufacturing environments and in a lot of the places that you have factories and work you're doing today, you're already doing a lot of work. You're capturing a lot of sensor data. You're doing alerting and these sort of things. These are things we've actually been doing for a while. In fact, at Microsoft, we have actually been in this embedded, in this machine-oriented programming for over 20 years. If you look at things like Windows CE and Windows Embedded, those are solutions that we have actually developed. However, we believe that there's some new trends that have come along we're going to talk about today that really advance us into that Industry 4.0. And it promises to unlock a brand new generation of products. So why is the transformation important? Well, we see a lot of big trends that are out here. For one thing, we see that over 1 million devices an hour are expected to be coming online by the year 2020. That's massive growth across the industry. We also see that the average age of S&P 500 companies at this point by 2020 will be somewhere in the area of 12 years, which is pretty amazing. That means new companies are coming along, they're being created, they're kind of born in the cloud, as we like to describe it, because they start off with all that brand new technology from the get-go. So that also means that it's imperative to us to take our companies, mine included, and be able to modernize them as we go. We also believe that 60% of computing will be in the cloud by the year 2025. This is a very fast growth that we've seen come through, and it's only accelerating. So we need to be able to figure out how this modernization is something that we can take advantage of. Now, if you look at Microsoft, and when we talk to customers that want to do digital transformation, we see that they typically land with 4 key initiatives. Things like engaging your customers, transforming your products, optimizing your operations, and empowering your employees. And to be honest, you may have innovation that you're doing in any one of these areas, but we believe that it's the innovation in all four and bringing them together so I can share insights that actually unlocks digital transformation for real. This is a combination of things like combining the OT estate and the IT estate. So I can bring together my operational technology from the shop floor, and I can integrate it together with my IT information that I have from the top floor. I want the two to come together. And so we've invested very broadly in this across the Microsoft Cloud. The Microsoft Cloud spans a great deal of that same spectrum. For example, productivity, so our office workers, IW, business applications that we use to actually launch, run our financials, run our HR systems, legal, take your pick, out into application innovation, the rise of mobile, new applications that show up. The new generation of millennials are not familiar with screens that I can't touch and swipe and do things with. Our apps need to keep up. Data and intelligence is super important because it's a place where you're going to gain new insights from the data you have and be able to figure out, how do I take new actions? And finally, security and management have never been more important because threat vectors continue to rise, sophistication of hackers continues to grow, and of course, especially in IoT, where there's health and human safety concerns. We want to make sure that we're doing a fantastic job on all of it. Now, we've built out a set of products here, everything from Office 365 for productivity, Dynamics 365, Azure at the core, Cortana and cognitive services, as well as Enterprise Mobility Suite and security operations management. All of these products are designed to come together and, again, enable all four of those components of digital transformation. Now, at the core of all of this is the Azure Cloud. And we've designed the Azure Cloud to be the substrate upon which we build the rest of Microsoft services, but also make it possible for you to build your own innovations as well. And when we think about the Azure Cloud, we concentrate on several core tenets that we're enabling. First, open, embracing open source, open software, open solutions that are out there, and including things that you might be using today or will be in the future. Hybrid, which is a first-class thing for us. We believe that hybrid is super important. Not everything will simply land inside of a data center tomorrow in the cloud. We have to have a combination of those. Intelligent has to underpin all of this. We just discussed AI, machine learning, and new scenarios that we're going to be able to unlock these scenarios, so we have to have first-class solutions for that. And finally, trusted. From a management perspective, from security, we have to, again, make sure that everything remains perfectly secure. So how do we do this? And I will tell you, we use Azure for our own services. We build on top of it. And that's one of the reasons why we actually have a global presence with 42 regions worldwide. And these regions are actually quite large. One of those blue bubbles will typically have a data center that is the size of a football pitch. And we'll put 16 of them together and fill them with compute and storage and networking in order to be able to do that. So you're talking about deploying millions of cores and exabytes of storage, which again unlocks new compute scenarios and the ability to cost effectively store a significant amount of data. And in fact, the number of regions we have here is more than any other hyperscale cloud provider out there in the world today. Our most recent regions that we've announced are in South Africa, and of course we're already in Hong Kong and in Japan, we're in Australia, also in China, in the surrounding Singapore, the surrounding regions. So we have excellent coverage across the Asia-Pacific region, but also around the rest of the world. And for many of you, may have your development centers here in Taiwan or in Asia-Pacific, but you also are multinational corporations, and you're taking your solutions and deploying them around the rest of the world. So having access to these regions and the technology in the cloud that you can leverage wherever your customers are, wherever your branch offices are, we believe is super important. And this is something that we've had to do, again, for our own businesses. If you think of, for example, Office 365, being able to keep people's email, documents, and those things, they also need to have close proximity to their customers and to their employees. Now, we've also made a point of working very hard on the trusted side, on compliance. And we have up to 60 certifications worldwide for the cloud itself. And these range anywhere from particular geographies that we need to do. So if we have a data center in a region or we're conducting business in a region, then we will invest in that and make sure that we have a great solution. But also industry. Think of things like healthcare and media, other industries like that, where there is specific regulations that are required in order to be able to leverage and use the cloud or a data center provider like we have with Azure. And we continue to add more and more as we go. And of course, we try and provide a very broad set of services with these certifications as well. So you can do, of course, infrastructure as a service, but also the advanced platform as a service and up into our SaaS offerings that we have. All super important. Now, we've been very happy with this because with the momentum that we've had and the building out of our Microsoft Cloud, we're at a point where over 90% of the largest 500 companies in the world use the Microsoft Cloud, and it is their core. And that's a combination of Office 365 in addition to Azure, Dynamics 365, et cetera. You'll recognize many multinational corporations here in this list, and it's a growing number that we see constantly continue to expand. Now we're going to jump into some additional IoT stories, but I wanted to provide this as the foundation for the worldwide cloud that is there. And you can see all the companies that we have. Some of these companies have been operating for a very long time. And I think that it's also interesting to see the innovation in as much as new companies are coming out and are going to the cloud right away as they get created. We're also seeing fantastic established companies that have been around for a long time and have been innovators for their entire history of the company and have made absolutely stunning new innovations. And we think the cloud and IoT and what we've done with Azure is an important part of being able to enable that. And so I'd like to actually take the time to look at one of those examples and have Madam Lin, who is the President and General Manager of the Datong Group, come up and talk a little bit about what she and her company are doing with Azure IoT as well as the cloud. Madam Lin.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very honored to be here to share with you how 99-year Datong worked with Microsoft on digital transformation. Sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry. What's the problem? Okay. So over the long history of the company, we have invested very heavily on energy-related areas. So if you look at our history, 1949, we started making motors. 1950, transformers. 1955, meters. 1974, generators. So we have been a big supplier to the utility companies like Tide Power. Beginning in year 2000, we transformed ourselves into a solution provider. So when Taiwan is moving from traditional power grid to smart grid, we provided the AMI solutions with smart meters to Tide Power. We also, in the past 17 years, we have helped Tide Power to build substations, a lot of substations, and small, medium scale power plant as a turnkey solution. In recent 5 years, Taiwan has been advocating smart energy, green energy. So we focus on investment into the solar systems. Because of our experiences in these power equipment and substations, we built our own solar substations to go with the solar systems. So we provide end-to-end solutions as an energy provider for green energy. We certainly use a monitoring system to monitor the performance of the systems. We are also working with E3 and other organizations on microgrid system because our government is trying to convert from the centralized power network to distributed power network. So in our district transformation, we focus on 4 areas: energy infrastructure, green energy, connected products, and service innovation. So there are a lot of IoT smart solutions that we have. And we also have an internal Untitled Cloud, which is a small test bed. But when we have large data, we from Untitled Cloud migrate to Microsoft Azure Cloud because it has a lot of functions. It can run global services, and the Azure Cloud also has a lot of tools to enable us for the data analytics. And we are a big solar system investor. So we have more than 500 sites, solar sites, that we invest, we design, we implement, and we operate. Henceforth, collecting the data, managing the data for better operations is very, very important for us. So you can certainly see that why we get on Microsoft Azure Cloud. We use the machine learning tools and to analyze. We first collect the data, we monitor the data, and we analyze the data. And right now we are trying to build a forecasting model on Azure Cloud for the solar power generation. Why we do this? Because we want to improve our prediction accuracy. We want to improve our solar system operations. So far, our system performance in terms of the generation efficiency is around 10% better than industry average. Later on, when all the solar systems are onto the cloud, we can allow Taipower to get onto the demand response system, which is very important in the smart grid system. We also want to develop predictive maintenance of the related facilities. So we not only track the solar power generation efficiency, we can also monitor all the facilities, equipment in the entire solar systems. So we are very happy to work with Microsoft because in this stage when we are working on the energy transformation in Taiwan, we are getting smart energy, we are getting to green energy, and we certainly want to bring this experience to other countries in the whole world. So we hope to ride on the cloud giant, Microsoft, to have the global reach. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Lin. That was fantastic. And I think you saw some great examples there, both of the data collection, but also the machine learning, again, that global reach, which is a core part of what the cloud is bringing. So thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you so much. So if we look at, again, that first 10 tenet that we talked about being open. One of the things we want to make sure that we're doing is meeting you where you are today. And with many of you, that means you're already leveraging or using open source. And so you will find that Microsoft has continued to evolve what we've done with open source, both bringing some of our own technology, things like .NET and Visual Studio, into the open source world, but also providing much closer support directly inside of our cloud. So no matter which operating system you're using, programming frameworks, or whatever technology you're using for deployment or configuration, you will find that it works great on our Microsoft Azure Cloud. In particular, we're actually seeing more new virtual machines created with Linux at this point than we do even with Windows on top of the cloud. And it is definitely a first-class thing. It gives you an opportunity to be able to target an open ecosystem, which you're able to take in multiple places. And you've also seen us announce deep partnerships with companies like Docker, in addition to companies like Red Hat, which maybe historically we might have competed with, but we're actually great partners at this point. And I think this is an important tenet that you'll see as part of the cloud going forward. Now, if we look a little bit closer at the intelligent cloud, I can tell you that Microsoft really, this is a core part of what we're doing as a company. So much so that we actually report intelligent cloud P&L, a profit and loss, as part of our financial statements that we go out. We actually shifted ourselves to saying the intelligent cloud is a core part of our business. And we've been making this transformation as a company ourselves, going from a company that traditionally shipped Windows and Office and products like that you may have experienced every couple of years, for the most part, but moving off into a services space where we have more continuous delivery. And that's been a transformation for us as well. And so that's another core part of what we've been building and trying to make available to you as well. Now, we believe that analytics, advanced AI, machine learning, industrial IoT, these are all the key enablers that will be driving innovation over the next decade. And these are key things to be able to invest in. And in fact, you saw with the Dayton outline and the architecture stack that was there, you're seeing some of this technology coming together. And in particular, we have built out a set of our own technology here as well. Everything from SQL Server, Azure Data Warehouse, Azure Batch, global services like Cosmos DB and Data Lake that can store petabytes of files and exabytes of overall storage are designed for that. But again, once again, if you are using open source, you can continue to leverage those as well. We'll make the entire spectrum work. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some examples of using some of this and how do we apply it. And one thing in particular that I want to make sure is that it's really clear that we've made hybrid also a first-class solution for us. We believe hybrid, sometimes a cloud vendor will put hybrid on a slide, and what it usually means is even more ways to take your workloads and plug them into their data center someplace. We actually think hybrid is a real thing. It has to be there. In fact, we run a lot of our own data centers for Microsoft and disconnected scenarios as well. And so as I look at what true hybrid looks like, we have some great ones right here. The edge and disconnected solutions are an important part of that. If you look at cloud applications that are built, we believe that in this world, you're going to want to be able to actually have a cloud-consistent model. So when I build software, I can do things like do dev tests in the public cloud, but I can actually deploy them into a private cloud solution like Azure Stack. And Azure Stack is actually our third generation hybrid support, and we've worked with key OEM partners like Dell, Lenovo, HPE, and Cisco in order to be able to produce this converged hardware and cloud software that goes together that you can actually install and be able to run on your own, but also with the programming model and services that are available in the public cloud, which makes it even easier. Now, that enables some really awesome scenarios, and I think they're very appropriate for the technology we're discussing this week. In particular, disconnected scenarios. If I think of things like running things on a factory floor, if you have a fiber connection that gets cut between your factory and a public cloud data center, I don't think you want to hear that you're going to be losing $1 million a minute while we wait for it to get repaired. And of course we have redundancy, but nonetheless one wants to keep these things going. So being able to actually have a disconnected scenario and being able to run private cloud on the factory floor, we think is an important part of the solution. There are other things, very disconnected scenarios. In this case, a cruise ship that's on the ocean. These ships are actually floating cities. They have critical infrastructure involved, and oftentimes several thousand guests and crew members that are at sea. I may be out in the middle of the ocean at some point with only a satellite link to be able to be connected. But if the satellite's not working and it's low bandwidth in the first place, I still need to keep everything up and running. We also think of things like smart cities, where I have critical infrastructure, water, power, lights, things that are required to keep the city up and running. And again, we believe in a world in which you'll be able to have these things also connected to the public cloud, but we also think from a hybrid perspective that you want to have solutions that you can run local as well. And we think that this hybrid gives you an awesome combination. I can do things, for example, like having local command and control and alerting and analytics coming in, so I can make sure things keep running well. But I can also do things like upload massive logs into the public cloud. I can run AI and machine learning algorithms against them. In the case of the factory, I can actually use the public cloud to do massive crunching of that data to be able to figure out what's the best way to do my next production run. And again, have that combination of both local hybrid in addition to the public cloud, and leverage them in all the places that make sense for what your business needs to do. Now, as we drill into IoT, one of the things that we've found working with lots of companies all over the world is that IoT projects can be quite complex. A lot of companies will start off, first of all, trying to, again, come through and collect data and do alerting and monitoring, which is a great place to start. Sometimes what you can find is that it can be difficult to maintain cohesive security, which of course is super important. Again, health and human safety issues. Then it can be time-consuming to get started. In some cases, I have to go off and build things from scratch, start off with protocols. You'd love to be able to get things moving a lot faster. Now, even once I get these first two things up and running and I've got data flowing through, then you can find that new solutions are sometimes incompatible with the existing equipment that I already have, and that means another stall or a retooling, and that can be a problem. It also can be challenging to scale. We've seen cases where companies have built an IoT solution and it works great with 1,000 devices, but when they hit 10,000 devices, they start hitting scaling issues. When you hit 100,000 or 1,000,000 devices, you really start hitting scaling problems for the system. Now, what we've done is actually built out a set of solutions that actually help with all of these things. In particular, we've done work that starts off all the way at the edge, Azure IoT Edge, device management, the ability to secure devices, make sure you know exactly what firmware is running. We move into Azure IoT Suite, which gives us a PaaS solution, IoT Central for a SaaS solution, into advanced analytics, and then up to things like Dynamics and HoloLens for digital twins. And these combinations of products are designed so that you can enter this graph wherever it makes the most sense for your product, but you can get started quickly. And I think it's also important to go beyond just connecting things and into the insights and gaining action from it. Now, the top-level suite, and the way to think about it, is a customizable PaaS solution with IoT Suite and pre-configured solutions. Within minutes, we can have you hooked up and ready to go with fleet management, remote monitoring and alerting. We'll basically deploy all that software. It gives you the fullest control because we're deploying all these PaaS solutions, so you don't have to create them from scratch, but you also can go in and customize them and do a deep level of changes to them as required. Now, what we heard after that is, that's great, but I would love to be able to get started even quicker. And so we invested in something new that's in preview called Microsoft Iot Central. And that is a SaaS solution that allows you to come in and get quickly started with your models, get the data flowing through the system, and you can do some minor, basically basic customizations on it. Now, the nice thing is that Iot Central is built on top of the IoT PaaS solution, on top of IoT Suite. And that means if you started off with Central, got up and running quickly, but decided down the road that I needed much more customization of the solution, it's not a problem because you can actually go into the next level and that's sitting right there, and you can actually drop down to that level and make any other changes that you'd like. And then we also finish it up with Azure Iot Edge, which gets me the on-premises processing or whatever the disconnected solution is. This is cases like gateways that are running localized and other solutions like that. And in fact, we bring these two things together, and we believe that IoT, as it evolves, needs to be a smart combination of the intelligent cloud and the intelligent edge put together. because we believe that there's a whole bunch of processing and functionality, again, that can happen up in the cloud. But more and more, our scenarios are calling for more devices at the edge to be connected and talking to each other and making intelligent decisions. I think one of the ones that always just really occurs to me is that if my self-driving car happens to detect a red ball bouncing into the road, it better apply the brakes immediately, because the chances are there's a child right behind that ball about to come out in front of the vehicle. As humans, we know how to detect that and go, but again, from an edge perspective, it's insufficient for that kind of an edge to just be streaming data. That works fine for telemetry off of a motor or an automobile, so I can tell when I might need to go have something fixed, but for an autonomous vehicle, it's got to know to apply the brakes. That means that we're going to be putting smarts into the edge. We're going to have more and more sophisticated software and hardware that have to be there, including deploying deep neural nets as part of machine learning and AI algorithms. That also requires near real-time response, and that's, again, something you can only do at the edge. And then also, of course, privacy of that data and then the IP that come through. And so this is where we made the investments in Azure IoT Edge, which allows me to do things like configuration and security, as well as being able to deploy sophisticated applications, including container-based applications that I may want to be able to run off at the edge, keep them up to date, keep them up, being able to be updated over the air and other mechanisms like that. So this combination of the intelligent edge and the intelligent cloud, we believe, is the core way in which these modern solutions are going to be built going forward. Now, we've had a lot of really great momentum success. You can see a few examples that are right here. And if I think about some of the examples that we've got, especially in manufacturing and places like that, I can call on Hershey's, for example. It's an iconic American snack food company. And it's been founded in 1894. And they've been selling products in over 60 countries around the world. And if you think about what they're doing, they're actually manufacturing. They're manufacturing, in this case, snack foods, a combination of chocolate and licorice and all sorts of those goods. Now, it turns out that even a 1 to 2 degree variation during that production process, if I get things too hot, if I get things too cold, can actually mean that they have to discard and throw away all of the stock that they just had. All the chocolate goes away, take your pick. And that's really expensive. It's an example of having a production miss, and that's costly. And so they've been able to do things like hook up Azure IoT, get the data pushed through the system, and then being able to actually figure out how to maintain that very precise control that is required for their production runs to keep going. And then again, the analysis of that data, and then figuring out how can I optimize future runs that are there. So we have all sorts of examples here going off into things like, Rockwell Automation, managing pipelines and petroleum, and going all the way downstream from oil being distributed through networks, all the way down into petrol stations where I can buy my gas, all sorts of examples like this. So we're very excited about the work that's been done, especially with a lot of our leadership programs. In fact, one of our core partners that we've had since the beginning, both giving us feedback on the solutions and also creating new ones, is Schneider Electric. And Schneider has done a fantastic job both transforming themselves in digital transformation, just like Microsoft, but also trying to figure out ways in which to go leverage all of the AI and additional work for other IoT solutions. In this particular case, looking at agriculture and smart agriculture. And of course, as humans, this is one of the first industries we've ever created, is agriculture. And dealing with precious resources, increasing load while protecting precious resources around the globe is a super important problem and something that governments all over the world are facing. So I'd like to introduce Doug Warren, who's the Vice President of Schneider Electric, to tell us a little bit more about what Schneider's done in the IoT space. Doug, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to change things up a little bit here this afternoon, and I think rather than show some PowerPoint, what I've been asked to do is really demonstrate one of the applications that really I think exemplifies a lot of the things that we've been talking about here thus far this afternoon. So first of all, before I get started with that, a little bit about Schneider Electric in case you're not aware. So Schneider Electric is a global leader in energy management, automation, and industrial software. Based in Paris, but with locations around the world, something like 145,000, 150,000 employees around the world. Now, we've actually been working with Microsoft for almost 30 years. So we launched the very, very first human-machine interface based exclusively on Windows back in the late 80s. And ever since that initial collaboration that made a product that kind of looked like this, it provided that human view into a manufacturing plant process, into a processing plant like an oil refinery, into different remote assets in the field. That's really where our software business was founded. Over the years, we extended that partnership, moving more towards industrial applications of MSSQL. Then in more recent years, now moved on to Azure and moving a lot of the things that we do into the cloud, onto Cortana and beyond that with Power BI. So a rich history between two large global players to bring these technologies to bear in an environment where everyone talks about the Internet of Things, but sometimes forgets about people. Sometimes forgets about the people that have to apply that technology and try to drive some business value out of it. So let's move on to the actual application that we have at hand here. We took our world-leading market share in supervisory control and data acquisition, the HMI products that I talked about before. We took that leading position, something like 2 million licenses installed around the world. And as we try to continue to grow, looked at Azure as a means to access a customer base that we couldn't get to otherwise. Maybe that customer doesn't have the IT infrastructure management capability to do it themselves. Maybe some of these technologies that are designed exclusively for industrial use are too expensive to apply. So we look to the cloud and we look to Azure as a methodology to access new markets, new business models, that kind of thing. What it's led us to, in this one example that we're going to share with you, is a very interesting application of the technology in we'll call it smart irrigation. And we'll show you one of our partners. I think we have something like 4,000 partners around the world. One of them in New Zealand has created a solution called SCADA Farm and use it to provide advanced irrigation capabilities and ultimately create sustainable agriculture in New Zealand. So roll the video. Let's take a look.
Farming has changed dramatically over the last 20, 30, 40 years.
SCADA Farm is a software solution that's been used by farmers in New Zealand. The software servers are connected to the irrigators and to the pumps. It allows us to adjust the amount of water we apply to the land, and it can integrate with the weather forecasts that are coming and make adjustments on the fly to the irrigator.
The machine might be saving up to 50% of its allocated water use, and I could contribute that to the efficient use of SCADA Farm. I wouldn't go back without it.
Built on Azure IoT, Schneider Electric allows us to collect and analyse the data needed to deliver the insights our customers require to stay competitive. To transform the way we farm, we need a trusted cloud platform that is as global and local as our own industry. And that's why we went with Schneider Electric and Microsoft.
Okay, so I will show you that application a little bit closer in just a second, but I want to capture a couple of things that you saw there. First of all, fairly amazing statistic that 70% of the freshwater resources available in the world are consumed by agriculture. Didn't know that. The other one was, in this particular case, this particular farmer was able to save 30% of the water that they would normally use for irrigation. Normally they would turn that irrigator, that pivot on in the morning, and it would run all day, and it would just run blind. They wouldn't necessarily apply any sophistication or any analytics to optimize its use, either for water consumption or for electricity consumption. Both things that are increasingly precious as we go through year after year after year of population growth, stress on food supplies, those kinds of things. So, how did we do it in this particular case? And this is an excellent use case for the Internet of Things. So, first of all, the partner named Waterforce, as I said before, they create a very advanced model of each plot of land where the farmer is irrigating. And within that model, that intelligent model, what they're doing is analyzing the terrain. In some cases, there's low-lying areas that don't need as much water, higher-level areas that need more water. They're analyzing the soil type. Sometimes there's lots of sand, sometimes there's lots of clay, and that varies from field to field to field. They look at what crops the farmer is trying to grow and changing as they cycle their crops season to season. Some crops need more water, some crops need less. Sometimes they'll leave the field in fallow for the sake of grazing. In other cases, they'll plant a different crop. So looking at that, looking at seasonal changes from the wet season to the dry season, all those kinds of things. So start with a very intelligent model at the front. Then monitor the actual amount of water that's getting to the soil with soil moisture monitors, smart sensors, a key tenet of the Internet of Things. So put those in key strategic locations in different fields and communicate that data to the cloud to marry it with the model that was created to determine where we needed more water, where we needed less. The next interesting element, which is true of many Internet of Things style solutions, is to then provide weather forecast information, not being provided by us, coming from a different supplier, but something that we can just push right into the same environment where we're running in the cloud, and marrying that data again with the model, with the sensor data, to determine how much water to put in different parts of the actual field. Now we'll push all that information very much to Jason's description. We'll push that information into an edge device to actually control the amount of water that goes through that irrigator. That takes us to the next piece, which speaks to Jason's hybrid. So a lot of the things that we've talked about thus far, we're cloud-based. All the analytics, that mashing of data, that all took place in the cloud. But when it comes to actually controlling the irrigator itself, turning the wheels, how fast does it go? Actually tuning any one of the nozzles along the way to get the whole pattern that the model wanted to see, and that ultimately the moisture sensors will pick up and transmit back. That is all of those local controls through a hardware device, maybe one not unlike one of these, but made specifically for the irrigation applications. That would be a device that would receive all of that detailed information of how to set the nozzles, how fast to run the actual irrigator. And that's a great example of an edge device that would then control that device on the ground. If we lose the connection to the cloud, doesn't matter, the irrigator will still run. And that takes us to the last piece of the system, which is also what I would consider to be hybrid, and that is the pumps that we used to move the water to a place where they can use it for irrigation. Most irrigation water will come from a river. The river has high seasons, it has low seasons. So in this particular case, the farmer has some catchment ponds that he can pump the water up to. He doesn't like to pump that water when the electricity price is high. He doesn't need to. He can do it on a seasonal basis. So we'll use machine learning to actually determine when the electricity price is lowest, and that's when he'll pump the water out of the river into the catchment ponds, and that's what he'll use as his supply for the irrigator. Now, let's run the second video, which is really a demonstration of the software itself. And you can see some of these elements in play, whether a lot of them from the mobile application that the farmer is using to control the irrigator. We also see an alert come up where there's a windstorm coming in and he wants to turn the irrigator to a particular angle to protect it from the windstorm. He doesn't want to be irrigating when the wind is blowing at 80 kilometers an hour. It's a waste of water. So all of those things are viewed in this quick demo. So run the second video, please. I'll speak over this so we can see what's going on here. Okay, we got an overview of a number of farms in New Zealand. There's my wind warning. Here's a view of a number of fields for one customer. I look at my electricity price. I look at how much water I have in my storage facilities, and then I key in again on the highs and lows of the electricity price. Here's that model that was developed with different amounts of water needed in each location. What is my saturation based on the sensor inputs that I'm getting, the soil moisture sensor inputs? Up in the top corner, or up in the middle, you can see how I can move my irrigator left and right. Here's my wind alarm. Here I can turn my water on or off to fill up my catchment basin, et cetera, et cetera. So, like I said, a real-life example of the IoT in action built with Schneider Electric's Wonderware Online application, all on top of Microsoft Azure IoT. We use this as a great example of a situation where we created sustainable farming. We could have easily used an example of electrical generation monitoring, smart grid monitoring, smart water monitoring, and different kinds of smart manufacturing. We do all of those things, but I really thought this one captured more of those tenets that Jason talked about earlier on, more so than any others. So I really appreciate the opportunity to come, the invitation from Microsoft to come and speak to you guys all today. And if you have any questions of Schneider Electric and some of the different things that we do in conjunction with the world-class partner that we have in Microsoft as far as IoT and the future that it has for us all, we're doing these things. We're well beyond prototyping. We're well into the commercial stage of this. The wheels are moving very, very quickly, and that business is ramping up, I'm happy to say. So jump on board. The water's fine. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Doug. All right, thank you. So great example of all the technology there coming together. And I think the next thing we want to talk about is security, because again, I think this is super important. And if you think of it, we need to have a full spectrum of security, coming from the device, making sure it's protected. I have good attestation. I know exactly what's on there. Threat resistance, so if there is some kind of attack coming through, how can that device actually help protect itself? Of course, our data is going to be in motion, so we need to protect that when it comes from that edge up to the cloud. In the cloud itself, we have to have full security so that we make sure that our data is protected. And then finally, the response component of this. So if I do have some kind of issue, if I do discover a bug in my own software, I need to deploy it, how can I take rapid response and go back and fix that? Now, we have several different security programs that we've put into place for this to be able to help you get access to security experts that can help maintain and keep your device solutions secure. And in fact, I won't obviously read through all of this, but this is just to give you an idea of the numbers of technologies that we have in each of these different vectors that you have to be able to keep track of. And we tried to design this so it's very integrated from an end-to-end perspective, and that makes it easier for you to be able to leverage the technology, both starting with my devices all the way to the cloud and for the response associated with that. Now, we've seen many waves of innovation come through the industry. The cloud is one that we have been working on for, frankly, about 10 years, but has been mainstream over the last many years. IoT itself, obviously the reason why we're here, sensors and environment coming through. We mentioned also the edge, this intelligence offload, and I thought the agriculture example was a fantastic example. Self-driving cars, fleet management, et cetera, are all others that are there. And finally, reaching up into AI and making sure that we can now start to do, again, a combination of machine learning and advanced AI. And I think one of the future states that we're going to see is this combination of also leveraging augmented reality, mixed reality, where I'm going to be able to use advanced devices and be able to understand how it can actually help as we pull together our IoT sensor data, as well as things like remote training and remote assistance. Let's go ahead and take a look at an example of this from one of our early Lighthouse partners, ThyssenKrupp, the elevator company. Let's go ahead and roll the video.
Over 1 billion people ride elevators each day, which places the industry in a primary role to respond to the challenges of urbanization. ThyssenKrupp's mission is to drive the elevator industry now. We want to do better and want to really push the envelope for what we are doing.
We need to enable our people to use the latest technology possible and available, and HoloLens is such a device where we see potential to serve our customers better.
The introduction of HoloLens to our operations will empower the over 20,000 field service engineers in doing the job better, more efficient. Increasing availability of elevators and escalators makes the job more safe and more fun for our people as well.
The scenario we have developed is really about dispatching a service technician using HoloLens in very different kind of ways.
So as soon as the technician puts on his HoloLens, he already sees, I have a call here, I need to go to this elevator, and then actually sees a 3D picture of the elevator that he's going to work on, and that he can zoom into a part that will offer you also training opportunities.
He goes to the job site prepared, probably better prepared than ever before, because he has the relevant data available to him in the best format possible, and in a variety of ways he can tailor the data towards his need.
The technician putting on his HoloLens, looking at the elevator, sees the historical notes first, so what has actually happened with this elevator before. He already has all the information right there without having to look for it. It saves a lot of time and a lot of stress and effort.
Gets information on his virtual desktop about the task orders he has to carry out,
the latest safety alerts for that elevator.
He pulls on a 3D replication of that part, pulls it out in an exploded view, and can actually see which part is making the problem.
A major advantage of the HoloLens, of course, is that we are hands-free, and we never had that experience and the capability before.
In the past, the technician needed both of his hands to operate the laptop, and now he just has his HoloLens on.
One of the most important capabilities we see with HoloLens is that we can trigger a remote call to a subject matter expert.
Call Heather.
Hey Jeff, how you doing?
I'm replacing a doorboard out here, but I kind of wanted you to check a couple things out.
Okay, let me take a look. The JP3 is in the right position, and your motor leads are disconnected, so you're good to go.
It takes a lot of stress out, it saves a lot of time, and our field tests have shown that there's a huge potential to increase productivity with that. A job which normally takes 1 to 2 hours and maybe ends up with having the expert traveling to the site, we were able to carry it out on the first time in less than 20 minutes. And what we are striving to do at ThyssenKrupp Elevator is really creating new, interesting technologies to build the city of tomorrow.
And we think this kind of innovation is going to help both with training and remote assistance, and you'll be able to use it, to affect the pairs as you saw. We also think that the HoloLens is a great example that we will be able to leverage when we do digital twins. So combining the digital version of the physical world, I can be able to actually look at my equipment right on top of my desk to be able to figure out how it's working worldwide. And we're actually prototyping a lot of that same work. I use it to actually run my own worldwide data centers. It's fantastic new innovation. I think this is what you'll see as you continue to evolve into the IoT world. Now we're here at the IoT Expo, and a year ago we opened up the IoT Innovation Center, had the grand opening over there. We've had some tremendous new success there, and we're very excited about that. 50% of the Azure IoT certified devices actually come from our Taiwan partners that are here. We see over 30 new vertical IoT pilots and showcases that have been produced just in the year that we've had the center open. In addition to that, with the Expo here, we've been able to double the number of attendees that are here. Thank you for being here. You have people here from over 1,000 companies across 32 different countries around the world. So we're very excited to see that momentum, and hopefully with all the new technology that we bring each year, you'll have an opportunity to see the latest and greatest in innovation. And so this year we're also very happy to announce the Opc Ua Testing Lab that we've added into the foundation itself. Now, Opc Ua, the Open Platform Communication Unified Architecture, this is basically the standard that is used on a significant number of controllers. It's a secure protocol, and we have an IoT Hub assisted communication version that we have implemented ourselves. And in fact, if you look at our Opc Ua wall that we have right here, you can see all sorts of devices from multiple manufacturers that support the Opc Ua standard. And we have actually integrated with a pre-configured solution for Azure IoT Connected Factory. Now that means that you can actually deploy that pre-configured solution and connect to devices exactly like you see here. We will automatically take the data protocols and models and actually put those into the cloud so you can get started immediately. That also means that it works with the existing equipment that has supported this standard, which means you don't have to take downtime in order to be able to generate your data and get things up and running. So your existing production needs, you don't have to stop. You can continue to evolve those. So again, Connected Factory, and great example. With the lab, our intent is to bring together this ecosystem. So whether you are a manufacturer producing this kind of equipment or running your own manufacturing line, leveraging this kind of equipment, then we believe you'll be able to use this. And with the innovation center that we have and extending the testing lab, we can pull these two environments together and again, get even more consideration for that and new solutions that come out. Now also when we established the Innovation Center, we also made it a federated lab, which basically means we're working with manufacturers around the world, some of which you've heard from actually today. We're trying to make sure that you have basically companies from Taiwan in here. They have their own labs. They integrate and federate with ours, and in fact enabling fantastic solutions like you see here also on stage. Smart manufacturing, smart energy, smart fleet management, smart retail, just a few examples of that and the solutions you can create on top of this. So we're very excited to have these partners as part of the Innovation Center that we have, and we continue to expand that program as we go. Now, in summary, I feel that Microsoft is uniquely situated in this new world that we have coming forward. We have a comprehensive portfolio of solutions. We've got an open platform with industry-leading security that works from left to right. We have leading insights and solutions for data and advanced analytics and machine learning components. We have an extensive partner ecosystem in addition to large-scale IoT experience. And in fact, at this point, Azure IoT Suite is processing 6 trillion messages a week. That's 6 trillion with a T. So we are on a run rate that will eventually take us to 1 trillion messages a day. And that's everything, again, from manufacturing, energy, fleets, smart retail, pipelines, take your pick. You see all of the examples that you saw today, all those messages coming in off of sensors. So massive momentum. So we hope that that technology, the ability to get started very quickly, to get things up to speed, even looking at your existing technology investments, and then being able to go off, get the data, get the analytics, generate the insight. When you combine all those things together, it's a really fantastic combination. So we're very thankful for all of our distinguished guests and for everyone being here at the Expo. We have a lot of great talks and content and also the Expo floor coming up. We appreciate having you here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sander and both speakers. 接下来，我们很荣幸的邀请到 Azure IoT Business Platform 执行长 Mr. Ursa 来为我们带来推动物联网生态系统与创造新商机。Ladies and gentlemen, it's our pleasure to introduce you our next speaker, Mr. Ursa, CEO at Azure IoT Business Platform, who will discuss driving the IoT ecosystem and creating new opportunities. 让我们以热烈的掌声欢迎 Mr. Ursa.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's a great honor to be here today again. I was actually present at the inaugural IoT Expo held last year, just 1 year ago in Taipei. And as Jason mentioned, I think it's amazing the amount of progress that has been made over the last 1 year. The Microsoft IoT Innovation Center was opened only 1 year ago. And over the past year, we've done a lot of stuff, not just with local Taiwanese firms, but having activities across Southeast Asia as well. And that's what I'm here today for. We are the joint organizer with Microsoft of this event. And my role today is to talk about one thing and one thing alone, right? Once you build a strong ecosystem here in Taiwan, you have strong partners like Microsoft, Schneider. Which markets do you look to deploy your solutions in? And today I'm here to talk about Southeast Asia, right? Southeast Asia is, the furthest country from Taipei, the furthest city from Taipei is about a 5.5-hour flight away, and that's in Jakarta. So variably, you have markets which are about 2-3 hours away, and the furthest away, like I mentioned, is in Indonesia. It's a combination of 10 countries which together form the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Just so I understand my audience a little bit better, how many of you here have actually been to one of these countries listed above? At least one? Only half of you. The other half are either too shy or don't want to tell me your travel plans, right? Okay, so basically, when we talk about Southeast Asia, it's extremely tropical. It's extremely, as you can see from these pictures, it's extremely beautiful as well. So it's been a popular holiday destination. But as you can see from these 5 samples, 5 cities that I've put up here, these are all cities running smart city programs. Right? These are cities which are running smart city projects supported by the local government. Right at the top, I'm sure most of you have heard of Singapore. Singapore and Taiwan share a lot of similar traits, export-oriented economy, small, no natural resources, and we've been one of the original East Asian tigers. Right? Next one, Phuket. Phuket is actually running a smart city project of their own. The government has been very active in promoting their Thailand 4.0 program. To the right, bottom left corner for you, that's Cebu. They're also running a couple of smart city projects. Cebu is a very popular island resort, so most of you have heard of it as a holiday destination, but there are a lot of smart city programs going on there as well. And last 2 countries, Da Nang, which is in Vietnam, and Iskandar in Malaysia. Iskandar is just across the causeway from Singapore. There wasn't much going on there about 10 years ago, but over the last decade or so, the government has put a lot of effort to attract international companies, international developers to develop the Iskandar region in Johor Bahru. It's actually developed so much that now they actually have their own Legoland and a Hello Kitty town. So if you are considering a holiday, that's one to look out for. Southeast Asia has increasingly been interested in Taiwan as a holiday destination, of course. So this year, Taiwan, in 2016, your total tourist arrivals in your country increased by 2.4%. But one thing to note is that Southeast Asia has outperformed at 2.4%. Visitors from Thailand have increased about 57%. Visitors from Vietnam, 34%. From Philippines, another 27%. So there is an increasing interest from us Southeast Asians in the Taiwanese market, not just as a holiday destination, of course, if you look at the data, also as a potential business environment. Another interesting fact about Southeast Asia, 5 out of the 10 largest malls in the world are based in Southeast Asia. Did you know that? And if you look at the top 3, those are all Philippines, those are all in Philippines. The number 2 largest mall in the world is actually in China, but built by a Filipino company as well. So that's something to take note of. We love eating, but we love shopping as well. So malls are very, very popular in our country. Southeast Asia, as a single unit, is the number 2, in terms of number of active monthly users, we rank number 2 in the world when it comes to Facebook. And since Facebook went public and started releasing results, their results, what they have shown is that the fastest growing regions for revenue growth for Facebook has been Philippines, Vietnam, and Indonesia. So that's another interesting fact to note. Last but not least, not so flattering, we have the world's worst traffic jam. Bangkok is number 1 in the world, right? And Jakarta made it to the top 10 as well. For those of you who have been to Manila, I'm not sure how it did not make it to the top 10 list because traffic in Manila is horrible. But I brought up all these examples not just to introduce Southeast Asia, but essentially all these problems can be solved with IoT solutions, right? The usage and the collection and usage of data can be used to alleviate problems for local citizens. This gives you a quick snapshot of Southeast Asia as compared to Taiwan, right? So as you can see, as I mentioned earlier, social media is used as a proxy for how digital savvy a population is. In Taiwan, it says here that about 75% of your population, 80% of your population use social media very, very actively. If you ask me, I think that number is a lot higher. I think that number is underreported because everywhere I walk in Taipei, everyone has their phone taking Instagram photos, chatting on Facebook, Line. In Southeast Asia, well, the population is 645 million. Less than half of those are active social media users. You can look at it in 2 ways. 1, market is not ready yet. Or 2, there's a lot of growth potential. Right? So if you look at the number of mobile subscription, GDP growth, Southeast Asia is expected to be one of the fastest growing economic regions over the next 5 to 10 years. Okay, so who are we? What do we do? We are actually a partner of Microsoft. We've worked with them for 4 years now. In their activities in Southeast Asia, what we do is we work with the local value chain. How do we define the local value chain in Southeast Asia for IoT? We segment them into 4 main categories. When we started our activities about 4 years ago, the main companies who were interested in IoT were the telecommunications companies. They had traditional M2M businesses where you get to sell SIM cards to track logistics companies, to track smart meters, which was a very big part of their business. And they thought that IoT was going to be the next big step for them to sell more SIM cards. Next up, we have government agencies. Government agencies are responsible for policies, and for infrastructures investments to make sure that IoT can actually take place within each country. There is no IoT if there is no connectivity, and the government is responsible for connectivity. Third segment, solution providers. Solution providers, as you can see that, I've listed some of the larger solution providers which you might be familiar with, but solution providers can be anybody from the largest technology companies like Microsoft, Hewlett-Packard, IBM, to just small startups. IoT is providing a real opportunity for new companies to be involved in this industry. And last but not least, when you talk about value chain, I think the most important segment would be your end buyers. Something I'd like to highlight and something that I believe very, very strongly in is that in order for you to provide IoT-specific solutions to your customers, you need to understand them. Some solutions can be applicable across countries. Like, for example, Mrs. Lin mentioned centralized versus distributed architecture for a power station. That's something that we see in Southeast Asia as well, and I'll mention a few projects later. But what's more important, I think, is that your ability to understand your clients' or your end users' problems will determine your ability to succeed within each local market. Right, before I go on to talk about enterprises, just some updates about what's been going on in Southeast Asia. At the top portion, you see the Smart Nation Digital Government Office and GovTech Singapore. How many, just out of curiosity, how many of you here have heard of the Smart Nation program in Singapore? Not that many, huh? They've been promoting it quite aggressively, and they have actually announced that there will be over 2.4 billion worth of tenders in 2017, this year alone, to aid with that Smart Nation program. So there's been a lot of restructuring in government organizations in Southeast Asia to aid enterprises, to aid citizens. So in Singapore, for example, the Smart Nation and Digital Government Office plus GovTech sit within the Prime Minister's office, and they are responsible for digital transformation within public services. On the other hand, you have the Infocom Media Development Authority, which is responsible for developing local ICT industries. Secondly, you see the Republic of Philippines. They just established the Department of Information and Communications Technology in the middle of last year. And this department is responsible now for 3 very, very big programs. The first one, People Connect. It is exactly what it sounds like. This plan aims to provide free Wi-Fi in over 15,000 areas in the Philippines, 150 cities, right? The other two projects that they're responsible for is the National Government Portal, which is an e-gov service, as well as the National Broadband Plan. National Broadband Plan just aims to provide fairly fast internet access to everyone in the Philippines. How do they define fairly fast? 10 Mbps, right? And last but not least is in Thailand, the Ministry of Information and Communications Technology changed their name this year to something else. What they call it now is the Ministry of Digital Economy and Society. You know, this touches on the point that Jason mentioned earlier, where technology should be used for proper outcomes, where it's not just about the technology, but about the people as well. So back to enterprises, you know, the end users of IoT. We run an annual survey every year, and this covers 500 enterprises across Southeast Asia, and we ask them about their views about IoT, right? What's interesting this year is that over 70% of participants said that they are already in the process of exploring or implementing IoT technology. But only 7% of them have reported reaping benefits from IoT implementation. To give you an idea, last year we conducted the same survey. About 60% of them said they were looking for IoT solutions, and only about 4% of them were reporting reaping benefits from IoT implementation, right? What are the top 3 concerns? Very similar to what Jason mentioned, cost. They start thinking, oh, IoT is really expensive. I can't afford to do an IoT project. Incompatibility with their current IT systems, and complexity. Complexity, I think, is the biggest issue. Why? Because when you talk to enterprises and you talk to your usual buyers of technology, they're usually not the people making business decisions, whereas most IoT projects have business outcomes at the end of them. So the selling process of selling, let's say, a computer or a hardware system or an ERP solution is a little bit different from selling IoT implementation systems. And last but not least, who are they familiar with when it comes to IoT? You know, companies like Microsoft, Cisco, Oracle, they've made a lot of effort to market their solutions globally, right? And those are the companies that I've put over there. But locally, within each country, you know, we have a lot of local solution providers who are capable of providing IoT solutions to local enterprises. And that's what I want to mention over here. So this is a snapshot of some IoT projects that some of our clients have done throughout Southeast Asia. And I won't go through most of them, but what I want to highlight is the last example here. Nozaius is a 5-year-old startup from Malaysia. Right? We met them about 5 years ago when they started up. Tenaga Nasional, it is the largest electric utility in Southeast Asia by market capitalization. So what Tenaga did was they hired Nozaius to automate their SCADA distribution system. A problem which was very, very similar to what Mrs. Lin mentioned that Tatung had. It's not complex, but Nozaius was there when this solution arose. They had a conversation with Tenaga. They've done a pilot project. They're going to roll it out nationally. And now they're also speaking to utilities in Vietnam and Indonesia to roll out the same projects. So I've mentioned enough about Southeast Asia. And over the next 2 days, or tomorrow at least, you'll see a lot of different speakers representing Southeast Asia. We have speakers from the government of Malaysia, you know, different parts of the government. We have speakers from Myanmar as well, talking about manufacturing IoT solutions. And we have a speaker from Singapore, from the healthcare segment, who talks about robots and technology for the healthcare assistance. in aging societies, like in Singapore as well as in Taiwan, I think these solutions are what people are looking at right now. On top of that, we've also invited a lot of enterprises from Southeast Asia to attend this event here. What we do on an annual basis is we give out Enterprise Innovation Awards to enterprises within each local market for developing solutions in digital transformation. So, we have banks, we have one of the largest taxi companies in Southeast Asia, we have some manufacturing companies as well. What I would encourage most of you to do is, if you've never explored business in Southeast Asia, please take the time to meet with people here, the ASEAN people here, so that you can start talking about how your solutions could be relevant to what they do back home. And lastly, why Southeast Asia? I'm sure this is something most of you have heard about. Most of you have not traveled to Southeast Asia, but have everyone heard about the new southbound policy? So, as I mentioned earlier, this southbound policy includes not just technology, not just the technology industry, but, for example, part of it is to make arrivals for tourists from Southeast Asia a bit easier by allowing visa on demand. Right? So we've had the opportunity to work with various Taiwanese organizations like III, Taitra, E3, Microsoft as well, who have brought their partners to Southeast Asia to understand the local businesses. We've run this program over the past year, and we've seen a lot of success. People generally do not are afraid of what they do not know, but once you start entering a market, once you start looking at the possibilities within the market, then I think it will open your eyes and you will understand it a little bit better. I've spent a lot of time talking about Southeast Asia, some broad macro issues, but like I mentioned, over the next 2 days, starting with my next speaker, you will get to learn firsthand from Southeast Asian enterprises who are looking for IoT solutions, who are looking for IoT ecosystem partners. So if you're interested in Southeast Asia, please, this is our calendar of events for next year. We still run some events this year as well, but please contact me. My team is here on hand over the next 2 days. But I think it's best if you speak to the ASEAN enterprises here directly. My next speaker is actually from Indonesia. Indonesia is an extremely interesting market, the largest market in Southeast Asia, huge population. So I mentioned, right, the time it takes to travel from Taipei to Jakarta is 5.5 hours. To travel from one end to Indonesia to the next end will take you about 12 hours. Right, so it's a massive, two things, it's a big country, and two, flights aren't great as well. But you'll hear from my next speaker, Pak Quata. As I mentioned, most of it has to do with business. So Pak Quata is a CFO of Imani Prima. Imani Prima is one of the largest M2M IoT solution providers in Indonesia. They work primarily in the heavy equipment and marine industries. They collect data, more than 30 million data points every day for marine vessels in Indonesia. I'll leave Pak Quata to explain, why he's here in Taipei, what kind of partners he'd like to meet, and how he can work together with all of you in order to service his clients in Indonesia. Pak Quata, please.
Thank you. This one?
Next page and the laser.
Okay.
Next page.
Thank you. Good afternoon, guys. This is a very good opportunity for me to represent my company. You have seen the big guys presentation, the Microsoft, the Accenture, the Schneider, and I don't know, maybe some of you guys want to be an entrepreneur. Some of you starting a startup company. Basically, we are like that. In the 10 years before, we started from the ground, from zero. So in this opportunity, I want to share with you how we do it and what we will do next. Basically, our company started in 2006. But in 2007, we are lucky to be acknowledged to one of the biggest satellite provider in the world, named Orcom. In 2007, we signed agreement with them to be the country representative of Orcom in Indonesia. But the legislation, the regulation in Indonesia stated that every provider should have a license. So, starting 2007, we trying to get the license from the Indonesian government. But from the 2007, we get the license in 2009. It takes almost 2 years to get the license. It's painful, but it is necessary to be done. So in 2009, we are one of the 11 companies that have the license to give the telecommunication services to all the companies in Indonesia. Our journey starts from here. In 2009, when we get the license, our first customers is the heavy equipment producers called Komatsu. There are a lot of heavy equipment in Indonesia. Every year, I think, increase 10 to 15,000 additional heavy equipment. And Komatsu share is almost 50%. So we get Komatsu as our clients very fortunate. But at the 2009 until 2010, there is a significant addition of the heavy equipment integrated to our system, but the number is not quite good because we only get the commission for the Komatsu using our telecommunication satellites networks. So in 2010, we're trying to market our services to other heavy equipment producers as well, like Hitachi, Kobelco, Caterpillar, and Sumitomo, and Tadano. But we try to find another market. We try to look at the maritime sector. So in 2010, we invented a specific equipment that can catch the AIS data of the big vessels around Indonesia. As you can see, this is the Indonesian region. The dot here represents the number of the vessel around Indonesia. In 2014, we try to count how many big vessels that come across Indonesia. We come up with a very big number, 140,000 unique vessels. 140,000 unique vessels come across Indonesia in 1 year. And when we talk about the AIS, it's the equipment required by the IMO that every 300 gross ton, a very big vessel, every 300 gross ton up should have an AIS equipment installed in the, in the vessel. Actually, the purpose, the goal of the AIS is to try to avoid collision in the Middle Sea. So every big vessel, they broadcast their identity. My name is vessel blah blah blah, and I have this kind of size, I have speed, this kind of knot, and then I have to, I bring, the type of my vessel is the cargo or maybe fishing vessel. Now, in the sea, sometimes you don't have any clear visions. And ship is not like a car. When you see some obstacle, if you're in a car, you can brake directly and then you can stop the vehicle. But you see, it's not like that. So whenever they have tried to get opposed one each other, the AIS, from the AIS data, they can know that in front of me there is a big vessel with speed, this kind of speed, and then they have a call signs. So the captain can call the vessel and say, hey, do you see my vessel? Okay, and then we try to obey so we cannot collide. So based on this technology, we try to build our own equipment. We build our own equipment, and then we install the equipment in every major ports around Indonesia. Currently, we have 45 ports integrated into our system. So it's an easy step. If we looking like that, it's an easy step. We just put the receiver, and then we get all the data. But the problem is how to make the equipment still on, because the limited infrastructure. We don't have enough electricity. Sometimes we have a blackout, and then we don't have enough coverage of the GSM cellular. So we built another invention on top of the AIS equipment. We built the solar cell, and then we built another backup system so that it always on, and it can send all the data to our system. So in 2010, we moved from the heavy equipment to the maritime sectors. It's very different knowledge, it's very different sectors. It brings a lot of pain. But the pain itself will be bring fruitful for you in the next long run. In 2010, we built our own application. We built our own devices, equipment, and in 2011, for 2 years, we tried to market the system. Unfortunately, the initial market is not quite responsive to the system, so we built for nothing at that time. And in 2012, all our system, we try to offer the system to the government. Luckily, we have a project from the Bakor Kamla. It's like an Indonesian Coast Guard. So from our installation, our research is paid by the project in this institution. And then at the same time, in the same year, we also built what do you call it? Critical center, crisis center of Promindo. Promindo is like an insurance for the protection and indemnity. So it will cover the third party if there is an accident in the sea. And in 2013, we got all our research are paid. We tried to dig more. We tried to do the field monitoring. This kind of solution, these are, for me, for our company, field monitoring, this brings a lot of profit. If we talk about the maritime sector, this is the unicorn business. But the problem is, when you talk about the field monitoring, every vessel is different. Every vessel with the same type is different. Is different system. It have a different system, have different machine. How they can measure the fuel monitoring, the fuel consumption. So every project of the fuel monitoring is the new project. So it brings a lot of profit, but it brings much pain for you. So we try to not to go for the field monitoring deeper. But in 2013, we got contract with Patria Maritime Lines. There are 35 vessels, tugboat for the coal, already using our system. And we also listed in Pertamina. Pertamina is the national oil company, Indonesian national oil company. They operate thousands of vessels, and if any company that wants to be providers, they should have passed different criteria, and then they will issue a certification that this company is certified for giving services to Pertamina vessels. And we are one of the 8 providers certified providers in the Pertamina. In 2014, we tried to do the fixed asset with the monitoring for the hydraulic pump unit and seawater quality. And we have a client, SS Marine. Remember that we put the receiver of AIS in the major ports. From the equipment, we got a lot of data, the movement of every vessel, every big vessel around the Indonesian ports, Indonesian seaports. And this data, we can sell this data to the other provider of maritime provider information. Currently, we have 3 international customers. Basically, most of our customers in the maritime sector come from the international, not from the local. And 2015, there is Orcom, our partners, they acquired Skywave. This company is very good at tracking a device for the maritime sectors. From what we have done, from the heavy equipment and then through the maritime sectors, there are 2 knowledge, the primer knowledge that for us is very important. First, how we handle the limitation of the infrastructure, the electricity, and also the coverage of GSM. And the other one is the weather, the limitation of weather, the extreme temperature, and also the humid. Sometimes it makes the equipment, reduce the equipment on lifetime. So when we have our own equipment installed in the major port around in Indonesia, we got a big knowledge. We got experience how to handle this kind of problems. So in 2016, we're trying to get a tender. We come up with a tender from the Kereta Api Indonesia. This is Indonesian Train Corporation. This is a state-owned company. When we discussed with them, they said to us, in the transportation, in the train, there is a lot of disturbance, a lot of vibration, extreme heat, and then a very abnormal quality of electricity. So during the tender, we have 2 competitors, but only us that can answer their question, that can answer their need. So our knowledge and our experience give a very fruitful tender in 2016. And also we have Pelindo 3. This is the Indonesian Port Corporation. This is the biggest, the second biggest seaport in Indonesia, in Surabaya. We also have another 16 major ports. Indonesia have 4 port corporation. They are all the state-owned government. State-owned company. And Pelindo 3 is the second biggest port corporation. And this is the summary of our journey. So we got a license from the government. We have a partners with Orcom and Skywave. We are now the biggest end-to-end provider. 30,000 heavy equipment are registered in our system. We have biggest AIS network, 45 port stations across country. And we develop our own middleware because every day when those ports get all the data, we have 35 million data per day. We cannot use a basic database. We cannot use the basic protocol of communication. And if you want to buy specific server, specific application, it costs us a lot. So we decided to build our own middleware. This proven solution for millions data processing daily. And we build it on open solution. So we have limited resources, and we try to overcome the situation by using the open solution. And these are our clients. From the heavy equipment, kereta api, there's the government, these are the private sector, and also the international customers. And I want to talk with you about the transportation case we have with the Iot Central Corporation. We call it, our solution is Monster Train. So we monitor the locomotive. In Indonesia, the train divided by three types. First, the locomotive who pull all the trains, and then we call it the trains for the passengers, and the others for the goods. We call it cargo. So our tracking system is installed in the locomotive. What is the data required is position, speed, and heading, and also the engine status. Data communication using GPRS and SMS as well. So if in some certain condition that the locomotive cannot transmit the data, the system trying to send in the SMS to acknowledge that the system, to acknowledge the equipment, you must send us the data. And all the data will be queued, will be stored in the equipment, and then after they get the signal from the GSM, they will transmit all of the data. And this is the other feature, the remote command execution to diagnose, configure, or even restart the system. This equipment, they have configuration that every equipment should send their data every 3 seconds, every 5 seconds. And if we come up with a very sensitive area, the system can also push a different scenario, different configuration to ask the equipment to send the data more frequently. This is the equipment that is installed in the train. And we design this chip by ourselves. This is our name in the board. But we don't have any capability to fabricate this. So we choose another vendor. The second one is the smart media. As you can see that this kind of equipment, we use the smart manufacturing, smart energy, smart field management. We use smart media as well. So smart media is like this. We put the digital signage inside the bus, Transjakarta bus, and then we have our own cloud system that all the content of this media will be pushed directly to the specific media by over-the-air protocol. So you don't have to come to this digital signage and copy the content and let it run, but you can do it mostly by background. So you just log into the system, push the content through the cloud, and then you select which device will display the kind of the content. And we try to push the system, the solution, into a lot of transportation like bus and train, and also in the station. And we develop our own system, and we're still trying to get the best equipment that can satisfy us, because for some reason there is still some delay in pushing the content into these every media. So this is the overview. The monitor passenger information display, this one, or digital signage. The data, position, speed, and heading of the bus or train. We can also use the device health, play log, and network usage of each media. And there is some requirement that require us to plan a camera in front of the digital signage, and then every certain times they take the picture in order to show that the media is still on. And then we also have a camera to take a picture of the viewers. So when a certain commercial or certain content displayed by the digital signage, we can also have how many people that watch the content. And all this data pushed to our cloud system. Currently, we only have 3G wireless network installed in this media. But if the customer wants, we can also do the hybrid, the 3G and the satellite. From the train station, the local train, we have this this is the Java Island. From this side to this point, it's 1,000 kilometers. Around their journey, these are the strength signal of the GSM. So a lot of blind spot in the area. That's why we need a good handling, offline mode. If there is no signal, we stop the data, and then when we find the signal, we send the data. And we try to multi-connection mode with GSM plus satellite and GPS and SMS as well. And this is the harsh environment. The system should be strength from the vibration, high temperature, water resistance, and also the security issue. A lot of what we call it, the captain of the train, machinists. Machinists, they sometimes don't want to be tracked. So sometimes they just break the equipment and then they put the blame on us. Hey, your equipment is broken, don't blame me. But we have a certain criteria, certain parameters that state this equipment broke because of what? Maybe a temperature, or there is certain vibration, and also theft, safety, electricity, and also installation. Firmware. Firmware is the software implanted in the equipment. So we need to build a very low resource management for the software. So every equipment, when we come up with the firmware, they have to be very low because otherwise they will use a lot of battery. And then high cost to update. So we need to update the firmware into the over-the-air protocol. Middleware, multi-protocol support, and highly scalable, and analytics. I think the analytics is a lot discussing with the big guys. This is our middleware and material production. For the environment, we have 2 core CPU, very small infrastructure, 2 gigs of memory, single virtual machine, and open source base. With this kind of environment, we can handle 25 million transactions per day, 300 transactions per second, and it's only use 10% CPU and 60% of memory. So this middleware is quite efficient. If you want to make it into 100 transactions per second, we only need 2 node virtual machine, 2 core CPU, and 4 gigabyte memory. I think that's for my side. I thank you very much for your attention.
接下来我们要进行的是主题座谈时间。在座谈开始之前，大会有2件事情跟各位提醒一下。商务洽谈媒合机会在世贸易馆举办，各位可以参考识别证后方的资讯预先登记。另外，也提醒各位来宾，明天携带识别证到服务台刷卡报到，领取明天的问卷。好，接下来我们进行的是今天的主题座谈时间。我们非常的高兴邀请到全德会全总监、Microsoft Malaysia 事业群总监、全总监来担任今天的座谈主持人。今天也很高兴的邀请到几位与谈人：伟谦科技股份有限公司总经理 David Shen。Accenture 大中华区总经理兼数位转型负责人 Ivan Chan， 以及 Schneider 电机副总裁 Doug Warren 来为我们分享目前全国的物联网发展、专案、商机以及策略。让我们热烈的掌声欢迎今天的主持人以及与谈人上台。
Hello. Hi, good afternoon. So it's the last session for today, and this is actually going to be a very exciting session that I hope you guys would actually be able to participate very actively as well. So let me just kind of get started, right? So really good afternoon, Taikaho, right? Apa khabar? Takeho, right? So hopefully you had a very good session early this morning as well. So let me just kind of get the day started by getting everyone to be on their feet. Maybe everyone can kind of join me on their feet, including the audience itself, right? Because I think it's a very long day, so I think everyone can use a little bit of an exercise here, right, for the last 1 hour of your day itself. Okay, if you're wondering what I'm going to ask you guys to do, I'm going to ask everyone to kind of hold out your handphone device, maybe a 1, maybe a 2, maybe a many, right? And I'm going to ask you guys to actually start to go to your camera function, right? So everyone's going to do that with me, right? Camera function. I didn't rehearse this with my panelists, so I think they're very surprised right now. And what I'm going to ask you to do is really to think about either you want to do a selfie or whether you want to take a photograph of anyone in front of you or anyone in the stage here. But just start to put up your phone like this and start to take a photo and just follow me. Let me just do that with my panelist members, and let me go to the back so they can capture all of that. right? So let me do this. Let me try to do this while I'm holding a mic. And if everyone can just follow me, and I think I'm missing Doug here. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. So I think everybody got a little bit of a stretch from today. You can actually start to sit down right now. Hopefully you got some adrenaline running, and hopefully, you guys got a bit of exercise as well trying to do this. But what's the point? What's the point of me trying to do this, right? If you remember, right, when we started off today next door at WCIT, I think the theme for the day was actually living your digital dreams, right? If you think about it, right, 10 years ago, doing this and actually posting a picture online, taking a picture of your conferences would not have been possible. Today, if you have actually taken a photograph here, you can immediately post it up to social media and actually hashtag it to IoT Expo. And that is the kind of evolution that all of us have actually been through, the digital dreams, right, over the last course of 10 years. So let me get started. I'd like to get a bit of a hang in terms of setting up the stage as well before I do an introduction of all my panel members. So Microsoft Azure has actually done a digital study about our digital transformation of all customers across Asia Pacific. And what we found was very interesting, that 80% of the customers out there actually wants to digitally transform their business, just like any one of us here would like to. But what's interesting even more than that is actually the fact that they see two technologies to be very, very relevant. One is actually artificial intelligence, and the other one is exactly the theme for today, which is IoT. And it gives me this a lot of pleasure to actually introduce, 3 of my fellow panelists here who are very, very equipped with knowledge of both digitally transforming themselves, their organizations, as well as that of the customer. So to my right-hand side, I actually have Doug. So I think, Doug, you've seen him in action just now from Schneider. He represents Schneider, who happens to be playing a part of 3 different areas, whether it's a service provider, whether it's a partner, or whether it's consuming our technology as a customer. So there you have Doug from Schneider itself. To my left, I actually have Ivan. So Ivan actually runs the digital transformation business for Central across the GCR region itself, Greater China. And he's very excited to also be able to share with you guys a little more in terms of the Industry X. So think about Industry 4.0, that's the kind of the version of Industry 4.0. And last but not least, certainly, is actually Mr. David Shen. He wears 2 hats, maybe more, right? He actually leads both the ODM as well as the V-Advanced businesses in terms of Wistrom. And today he's going to share a little more in terms of how they have digitally transformed themselves as well. And last but not least, myself, I'm actually De Hui. I'm actually the business group lead for Microsoft Malaysia, and very, very happy to be here today. Now I'm going to start off with a little bit of a quick warm-up questions, obviously, for my panel. So I'm probably going to give the floor to all of you and maybe share with me a little bit in terms of your observations about digital transformation across Asia, and what's kind of the market trends that you're observing right now, and how do you see it very relevant, especially to this audience sitting here today? Take us.
Okay, I'll give this a whirl. Some of the market trends that we see, there's a lot of companies out there that are hearing all the buzz around Industry 4.0 and the Industrial Internet of Things, all of those kinds of topics. They absolutely want to get on board. They absolutely want to start something. They want to start with a pilot. They want to start a POC, whatever, but they don't know how to start. I think you're seeing a lot of companies assign a digital transformation chief executive type person, but they're really struggling for those first few steps to really understand enough about the technology and how it could or could not deliver business value for them. So that's one of the broadest things that we see every day.
That's a great point, and maybe I think both team Central as well as David may want to elaborate that well.
Okay, so interesting, right? Because I came from Accenture. Accenture, I think as most of you know, is a global consulting firm. So even though we did transform ourselves, right, digitally, but we actually help our client transform a lot more than what we do to ourselves. And I can even use the evolution of Accenture, right, in terms of, how we go from, technology consulting to digital to now, to sort of explain the industry trend. So, as I mentioned, we've been helping clients to transform their industry, their business, with IT as a key enabler for the past decades. But, a couple of years ago, five years ago, Accenture launched globally Accenture Digital. So this is, business unit where I belong to. As a way to help the client, right? Because everyone talk about digital, everyone define digital differently 5 years ago, but hopefully now it's more convergent. There are companies who wanted to transform from a brick and mortar retailer to an e-commerce player or omni-channel player. There are also people who like to do more social media, digital marketing, so leveraging not just the traditional media, but also new media to promote themselves. There are companies who like to do more analytics, like big data analytics and things like that. And there are also companies who like to develop apps, like mobile apps or other things to basically capture more attention from their customer. I think these are all good, and then some companies actually achieve transformational goal, but I would say most of these benefit that they achieve from this digital journey has been more or less more incremental rather than transformational. But it's really only until the recent 1 to 2 years that we see more and more convergence of industry happening around digital, and they're also because of disruption created by the digital native. Like for example, if you look at Tesla, it's actually difficult to judge whether it's actually a product company. So most of us as a consumer, we see them as a product company, right? Because they sell cars to us, right? But they're actually more than that, right? They're also a service company because the fact that all the vehicles that they produce are actually connected, it's easy for them to convert that model into a service model, right? Car sharings and things like that. And even more, they're actually, moving into the energy business, right? Because if you look at from a utility perspective, every vehicle, every charging station itself is actually a node on the digital grid, right? So, this is, for something like this, how would an incumbent utility see a digital native like them, right? So how should they respond? So in the past 2 years, we see more and more of our clients, especially the industry big players, incumbent, they ask questions around this. First of all, how would the business look like in 5 years down the road? And then, given that, how should they transform themselves? How should they prepare themselves? So we see this as the next wave of digital transformation. It's really that. Yeah.
That's great, Ivan. And I think, the two gentlemen actually share a lot of broad trends as well in terms of what they observe in the industry. And I think, David, you observe a lot of, transformation across Taiwan in particular. And I think this is a good segue as well, because when we started the WCIT, I think it was a 17-year apart that Taiwan is actually hosting it, and perhaps your view about what's kind of transformed since then.
Yeah, among the panelists, I probably will be the only one representing the Taiwanese manufacturer, right? So for digital transformation to the manufacturer, it's not a matter of when or why, it's a matter of survival. Actually, all the audience here that the IT industry started from 1980 when IBM started the IBM PC. I would say that kind of created the whole IT industry in Taiwan. So we have been, and growing with the IT industry in the past 30 years, and I think we are doing quite okay, right? So the whole island actually can grow very rapidly with the IT industry. But with the digital transformation, we realize that it's a game of survival. If we want to survive for the next decade or several decades, I think we have to take the tidal wave to start thinking about how we transform ourselves from a manufacturing role to to more like a versatile role. Maybe later I have a chance to share with you, what's our, from the Taiwanese manufacturer view, how we transform ourselves, no matter internally or externally. So this is what I view the digital transformation is really a revolution instead of evolution. And this is very crucial for Taiwanese manufacturer to survive.
Hey, thank you, David. And I think I really like what you said about survival, right? It's all about making sure that you're a leaping frog ahead of the game as well. So maybe Wistrom has actually gone through a significant digital transformation yourself, right? From a pure ODM player to now, really thinking about customer-centric design, thinking around this. What's your view on that, actually?
Yeah, I think, in order to survive for Wishong, I think I will take into internally and externally. So internally, we are manufacturer, right? So like a lot of the guests here today to present to you about this smart factory or Industry 4.0. This is definitely very, very important that how can we use the technology and the digital transformation to increase our productivity or even to change the manufacturer's business model. So I think, even for our company internally, we are trying to use the tool, no matter data analytics or machine learning, automation, to see how can we enhance our productivity, on the manufacturing sector. So this is internally. Externally, we also thinking about when the digital transformation happen, can we, start some new business model, okay? And beyond the manufacturer, what we can do using the digital transformation to invent some new business model to create more value for that. So these are really the twofold, internally and externally, how we want to use the digital transformation to enhance our, really our value in the industry.
Hey, thanks, David. And I think what David has pointed out is about internal as well as external transformation. And I'll probably go along the lines of trying to look at the external transformation, right, and also internal. I think that's a very similar story that Schneider actually went through. So I think, as you mentioned, you guys started 30 years ago with Microsoft itself in this journey already. But you also have actually helped a lot of your customers transform, as especially in the case of the Schneider farm itself. So Doug, maybe you can share with us your perspective as well from this angle.
Yeah, before I get to the external one, though, I do have an interesting story that goes back to 2013 when our CEO first announced the digital transformation internally within Schneider Electric. And I remember the top executives from the company get together once a year, and they have one of these leadership forums. And the guest speaker that we had was the former CEO of Nokia. Olli-Pekka Kalarusovo. So he was the CEO, I think, between 2005 and 2010, the very time when the mobile phone industry was going through huge transformation. And out of that evolved the smartphone industry. So when he became CEO, Apple phone, iPhones, that kind of thing, really, Android didn't really exist at all. They were the #1 company in the mobile phone industry, and while he was the CEO, they watched these other upstarts take over their business. To your very point, a matter of survival. The problem that they had, they knew it was going on, just like we know that there's a industrial Internet of Things, Industry 4.0 wave overtaking us. They knew, but based on the bureaucracy in the company, how slow they moved, all those kinds of things, they weren't able to do anything about it. So we use that internally as kind of the burning platform, where if we want to stay out in front of this, if we want to become something more than a commoditized electrical parts provider, we have to get on board. We have to invest in software. We have to invest in analytics, machine learning, all these kinds of things to change the business models, change those traditional business models, and emerge or stay on the top of our game.
Hey, Doug, I think that's a very good take in terms of how, it's a burning platform to us to continuously digitally transform. I'm sure, Ivan, you observe a lot of customers of yours who are actually wanting to address this burning question as well, and they don't really know how to start, right? Is there any perspective or best practices that you can share with this audience?
Sure. So I'd like to start off by, comforting David first, because, this survival game is not only to, our Taiwanese manufacturers or IT industry. In fact, because I have worked with different industry in, Asia Pacific and especially in Greater China region, this is actually happening everywhere. I can give you some example. I have actually a client in Hong Kong. They actually run this business, Expo business. And it's actually quite commoditized. I think about that is, all they do is just space leasing. Right? It's just lease a space to event organizer, could be entertainment, concert, or could be professional event like this. But to them, how do they deal with digital disruption? Right? Because we see now, a lot of events could actually happen online. Right? It doesn't need to be physical, right? And you could easily pull everyone together to talk about a topic in a very sticky way. Right? So they actually look at, the initial statement is to look at how they should transform the business model so then they're sustainable in the next 5 to 10 years. And very quickly, it actually came to a couple key digital enablers. And of course, IoT is actually one of them because, in order to really understand, what they found out is actually understanding the consumer or the guests in the venue is actually very important. Right? So it's not only before they come or after they come, you can rely on the mobile phone or internet, but when they're here, it's the best time to actually understand who they are and what they do and what kind of people they interact with. So that rely on a lot of these proximity interactive IoT technology. Right? So that's one example. Another example, I have clients who actually in China is an OEM car manufacturer. And when they look at global players like Uber or in China themselves, Didi, right? So they say, hey, what is my business going to evolve into going forward? If I don't do anything, then, could I still survive? Like if I just keep manufacturing cars, is it going to be a sustainable game? Right? So, so what we did, we went in to help them basically, again, is to, like what I mentioned earlier, ideate, think around, what is actually important, who are the consumers 5 years down the road, what's actually important to them, and what do they need in a daily basis, and then from there defining, hey, for you with your core strength, beyond the car, you should, first of all, digitize your car, get your car connected, and then what kind of internet business that you can actually operate out of that. And that actually aligned with the China Internet Plus agenda as well, right? So again, I think that's another thing is I think coming back to David's point earlier, and I think Doug, you also mentioned that is the game of survival, and I would say also is opportunity, right? Because these are all new spaces, right? Car sharing, or even I think in the forum today earlier we talked about smart city. It's a space that never existed 10 years ago, right? So that's opportunity. But of course, the internet native like Apple and Google, they are all penetrating into this segment. But as an incumbent, for example, like the local telco or local utility, what you should do around that, like how should you define your position? Definitely you can't capture the whole market like by yourself. It's an ecosystem play, but how much do you play, how relevant you are you just passive player? Really depends on whether you're moving first or second or third or last. Right? So again, I think that's something that we see is a major trend, in all industry actually.
So I think we hear a few themes, right? We have survival first, and then we have conceptualizing the ideas, ideation, and all that. But I think the rubber meets the road when you can actually deploy the solution in your respective organizations. And I think that's where we want to hear a bit more from Ivan as well, in terms of they actually have a ready-built, pre-built solution around CPaaS. And if you could elaborate what that actually means and how organizations here can actually take advantage of them to kind of jumpstart into this journey.
So one of the things around the new waves of transformation I mentioned earlier, the recent 2 years, is not just on what they wanted to do, but it's also how they do things. So what we observe actually also it's from the industry was like people are demanding really rapid paces, right, in terms of trying new things and launching new capabilities. So gone are the day where we say, hey, let's define a really nice roadmap 5 years, and then let's start to build your system and then have a milestone 2 years later, and then we can launch a business. It doesn't work that way anymore because consumers' demands are actually changing that so fast. So that come back to the question is, the new way of how us even in the past has always been like a service model consultant. Now when we really need to help a client to transform to the new, we also have to, on top of that, like to help them not just to innovate and advise them, but also providing them some sort of tools so then they can get things started very quickly. So that's on the space of IoT, we have this what we call CPaaS, Connected Platform as a Service. From the name you can tell, right, it's not really something heavy that we expect the client to implement as a service. But more importantly, is an industry play. For instance, we have adapted CPaaS onto the Azure IoT, and then we have a joint product or project called Neptune together to riding on the industry, robust, IoT cloud platform with, AI, to build on top, the vertical industry template that we just talked about, right? Because, the cloud platform, AI platform is one thing, is general, but then every industry, when they transform themselves, even on smart factory, right? Smart factory in automotive and smart factory in a process-oriented company are very different, right? So we need to define this industry-specific template, right? So for example, in Accenture, in CPaaS, we have some templates around connected transportation, and more specifically for connected vehicle, connected, ships, and also, fleet management and things like that. And then that ranges to, for example, connected health, right, where we have the wearables and centralized systems and etc. So these, again, is not to market our solution, but rather to explain, why you should ride on, a robust industry-grade IoT and AI platform, but on top is some really replicable to market kind of template solutions. Yeah.
And I think Ivan rightly pointed out, which is to get ahead of the game and also to jumpstart yourself, it's really about templatizing it and making it industry relevant. And I think that's where, Wistrom has actually gone through that themselves as well. I mean, from ODM now thinking about customer-centric design thinking. Maybe, David, if you can elaborate in terms of the role and the partnership that Microsoft and Wistrom is playing in this particular space.
It is very interesting. We have been working with Microsoft since 30 years ago, right? We started with the DOS. If you are too young, maybe you don't know what is that, right? So I think a lot of people, you are from the industry. If you remember back to the old time when we cooperated with Microsoft, what we did, writing the BIOS, integrating the driver, BSP. It's all, and based on the so-called white paper to define the hardware requirement, right? Year after year, and the MSDN, Microsoft Development Network, right? So everything we do in Taiwan is all hardware-centric. So we work with Microsoft to make sure our hardware run perfectly in their OS, right? So that's what happened in the past 20, 30 years. Things has been changed significantly. Right now, you don't have this white paper anymore. Every year is the same, right? Windows 7, 8, 10. We just follow your requirement. We just do it, right? And it's not that hard, right? Because a lot of the SoC, Intel, and all, everything is integrated. So there are much we can do, right? But thing has been changed that when Microsoft moved from the on-premise client, Windows, Office, moved to cloud, then things start to change. We need to learn a lot of the, I call it the skill on the cloud, the business intelligence, machine learning engine, the Azure cloud usage, etc. So, we, as a manufacturer, ODM, we were from a traditional hardware maker. Now, we need to learn what Microsoft has on the cloud, what kind of tool they have on the cloud. And then we need to think about what kind of the solution. In the past, we only do the devices. Now we need to think about what kind of solution we can offer to our customers. Okay, so it's a paradigm shift. So from the traditional BIOS driver to the cloud skill set application, that's what we end up need to have more, we end up need to have a different partnership with Microsoft. That's why, take Wistrom as an example. BIOS driver, personally, I think that's part of the hardware. So it's still a hardware business. But now, I think we have to build up another independent company. I call it We Advance. We Advance actually is 100% subsidiary of Wistrom. So what are they doing? That is a service and software company. So we are Microsoft authorized CSP, the cloud service provider, right? So We Advance, they work with Microsoft to learn their cloud application, skill, and all the cloud and application, such that we can use Microsoft Cloud application to service our customers. So that's a very different cooperation model from traditional hardware only. Right now we are more application and solution centric partnership with Microsoft. So I think as a OEM company, we feel it is a big transition and from the traditional way into the new way of the partnership with Microsoft.
there's a clear paradigm shift, right, as you rightly pointed out, David. And I think the paradigm shift is most apparent when it comes to the OT and IT kind of interaction. And I think that's where Schneider, Doc, you have a lot of experience in terms of how that interaction is happening, and where do you see like Schneider come into the picture, and how does this whole partnership actually help in the evolution itself?
Right. So if you look at historically what Schneider does, involved in most any plant that you go into, you'll find Schneider equipment there. Whether you're in manufacturing, you're in heavy process, you're in different infrastructure kinds of projects, those kinds of things. There's Schneider electrical equipment everywhere, and as Schneider's made different acquisitions over the years, brought further expertise in the area of automation and now more and more in the software side of things. So you have a whole generation or two of employees that are used to how things run from an operational perspective on the plant floor, in the process plant, that kind of thing. Now what we've done is really injected more and more of that software DNA into the organization through very pointed acquisitions that have been done over the last, let's call it six years or so, to increase the knowledge of around everything from analytics to machine learning to big data concepts, all of those kinds of things. We've injected that in to actually push further up that stack to where traditional ERP players would have played in the past, and actually partnered with companies like Microsoft to make sure that even beyond that, we are driving more and more towards IT and OT convergence. I would say that the days in the past where we had these very discrete layers in a typical application stack, from sort of the device on the plant floor up through the control layer, up into the operations management layer, and then up into maybe planning and scheduling, and up into ERP, those layers are flattening. That traditional ISA kind of stack is flattening rapidly, and it's really Industry 4.0 and IoT that are pushing it even faster. So I mean, we're happy to bring the application knowledge that we have from that traditional OT side of things, but then through acquisitions, through recruitment programs, and through partnerships with companies like Microsoft and Accenture, trying to make sure that at that IT level, making sure that we're bringing value there as well.
That's great. Clearly, there's a lot of engineering evolution when it comes to bringing home the entire OT, IT integration. What about the business model, though? I mean, clearly that's really from a technology standpoint. There's a lot of merger and acquisition in terms of the engineering standpoint. But what about the business model? How should the folks be thinking about it?
Certainly, we've seen the business models change dramatically, as has Microsoft. I think I was watching different annual reports from Microsoft, and when things teetered from that perpetual license model that they had enjoyed for so many years with Windows and Office and all those applications, when that finally tipped over and subscription-based models became far more prevalent, and more movement towards service and those kinds of things. We're in where you might have been there as Microsoft in a more consumer kind of space with some of those titles, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. From an industrial perspective, we're there now, where that perpetual license model, it's still traditional. It's still there. It's not completely gone, but we're starting to see it change. More people moving to as a service kind of models. More people moving straight up to subscription. So some of that spend coming out of an OpEx budget instead of a traditional CapEx one, where a company like Schneider building or helping customers build big plants, that used to be those budgets that we relied on. Now, not so much of that available anymore with commodity prices generally down, those kinds of things. So having to find different business models to make sure that we both stay relevant with our customer base and help them, weather the different storms that are out there.
So Doug made a very important point, right? It's about finding a different business model and all together bringing value to your customers so that they can actually evolve further, right? And I think that's where I just want to hit it back to David, because I think Wistrom has undergone the change themselves, and clearly IoT is one of the key technologies that have been adopting itself. To differentiate further, clearly another enabler is artificial intelligence, right? And just like to hear your involvement in that particular part for Wistrom, and perhaps how you see that will help you propel further business value for your customers.
As I mentioned earlier, the traditional way of the Taiwanese OEM ODM pretty much is RFQ, and we just respond to that, maybe pretty much a surprise, right? So in the recent year, because this IoT or digital transformation, we see more and more so-called JDM, opportunity. Because, it's really a solution and application-centric. There's no standard yet, especially for this IoT, there's no standard yet. So our customer, they have to work with OEM, ODM together to define the requirement, and even seeking for the support from us on the solution side, what kind of a solution we can offer. So talking about the business model change is that, again, traditionally, we just sell the hardware, period. But now, the customer, they are requesting Wistrom to see, well, can you offer a bundle service like the cloud usage or cloud storage and bundling with our and client delivery? Or can we develop some application or skill on the cloud, bundle with the client together to sell the total solution to the customer? So I see, even though it's still small, compared to the traditional OEM ODM, it's still small. So I still see more and more customer require for this JDM, cooperation, and also the business model change. I think, I can expect in the near future, we will see more and more opportunities like that. Okay, that's what I see from the business model transition.
Right. Hey, thank you, David. And I think that's where I also want to sort of leapfrog back to what Doug was saying earlier on about, customers probably today have a different budget. They're looking for a utility model instead of a upfront pay as you kind of CAPEX, OPEX kind of differentiation. So I just want to hear from, I think, Ivan in terms of how that has actually evolved from the lens of Accenture for your most customers.
So I could comment on a couple industry front, right, again, because I think, first of all, I think it's a great question to start exploring, from a, business model perspective, because then we are really thinking about transformational capabilities, not just the incremental things that digital should bring to you, right? And we can look at it. I think there are a couple key industry, right, that has major changes in the business model, right? One is, these products company, doesn't matter it's like consumer products or B2B products, companies, chances are they, in the past, right, they might go through the, again, brick and mortar distribution model where or the channels where, the actual OEM never really touched the customer, right, the end customer. They don't even understand who they are, right? So all the messages and transaction happen in between the agencies, right? But now, regardless which industry you are, it could be consumer goods company or even car manufacturers, chances are they also like to interact. If they don't sell, right, at least interact directly with the consumer, with internet, with e-commerce, and with IoT, right? So that's one area that we see a major shift in the business model. Second one is, I mentioned earlier already, like Expo business is more like services specific industry also because, especially the incumbents. I can give you some like shopping mall as well. Shopping mall is also thinking about how they should transform themselves because again, in the past, shopping malls sort of also leases their spaces to the retailers to do business with the consumer. So to them, they don't really touch the customer. But today, I think across Asia Pac, right? I think just now there's a presentation on, Southeast Asia, the big shopping malls. Every shopping mall, launching loyalty programs. Why? Because they want to understand you, right, as a consumer. If you just walk around, how you buy things. And to that extent, also like other, spaces like airport as well, right? It's very similar. So these, traditional services industry, they also looking at, the new threats from the, from the digital natives, like the e-commerce marketplaces, and how they should respond to that. And again, I think we can think about IoT as a key thing, but not the only thing. Like IoT is not the only thing. It's one of the key things that they should consider. And then the third group of industry, I could say, is more on the industrial side. Industrial side, including like these very heavy process-oriented companies, like energy companies, like utility, etc., telco. Again, I think I mentioned some example earlier. In fact, recently we just completed a like a innovation project for major utilities in APAC, where they started out with a very clear problem statement. They just wanted to, hey, what is my IoT platform strategy, right? So I think it's broad enough, but then very quickly what we found, because the company is so big, they have strong presence everywhere in APAC. Chances are in the past 2-3 years, right, the different BUs, different countries have already done their own pilots, right, in a very scattered way, not in a very silo way. So as a group CTO or chief digital officer, chances you complain a lot, like why they are doing all these things. But then it's actually good, right, because through all these, different random or, silo projects, the business unit in different countries actually learn the experience, what digital can do for them. But then when we really, couple of weeks into the project, we found, hey, there are actually 3 group of kind of benefit or objective that across the board people are trying to achieve. And I think that's very aligned with what David earlier just mentioned, like a couple of things. It's around driving operational efficiencies, or it could be around driving innovation and growth around new products and services or new business model. And there's also, in addition to that, there's also a group of people who are really care about the customer. They like to have a, really customer 360 degree of angle. So, which is good. Then, across the whole APAC, different country and different BU, they come up with these 3 themes and become their objectives for the whole digital transformation. And then the platform came in as the IoT. Right? So it's not really about the technology itself, but really about the business model, what they're trying to achieve, the objective, and then very naturally that will flow to the emerging technologies kind of discussion.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Ivan, for that. And I think he rightly summed up in the sense that it's not about the technology, it's not about the platform, it's not about IoT. In fact, I think there's more to it, right? Cloud, AI, and all that. But I think it ends up to being the critical question is about the business model itself. Is there any last final thoughts in terms of advice or best practices that the panel would like to give to this audience as they consider the rest of their digital transformation journey itself?
Yeah, I think the one thing that we've talked about business models and we've talked about technologies, but maybe we haven't entirely addressed the change management that's involved. I mean, there's a human factor to all this. Most of the companies that all of us in this room work for, they're really there. They've had success because of the people that are there. And some of these disruptions, are changing internal processes. They're changing people's jobs. They're having to learn new skills. They're having to adapt. I think as you look at different IoT projects, do not underestimate what it takes to make sure that your people are along that journey with you. So to consider some of the change management things, this is new to a lot of people. They haven't been doing it for the last 10 years or something like that. So never underestimate the human factor and what it takes to make that technology successful. It's us, it's people. So that would be my piece of advice.
People, indeed people, right? Any other words of advice from?
I like to jump in because I think just to build on top of what Doug just mentioned, right? Because I think one thing I would advise is to launch a digital transformation campaign. I think digital transformation and innovation go hands in hand. And the third element is actually the human-centric element, right? It's to think about, naturally people think about, hey, who who are the consumers, right? And think about, giving this, what we call in the industry X notion, hyper-personalization, right? With IoT, with artificial intelligence, and then with all these different touch points, you understand the consumer so well, you provide this personalization to this individual in a very liquid way, right? Because they also change the demand along the way as well. But don't forget about the other aspect of human, which is your workers, your staff, etc., because they are also, in this notion, our customer as well. We want to also provide the same kind of experience to them, right? So how do they feel? How do we want them to feel about digitization? So there's also notions around digitizing the workforces and helping them to basically leapfrog to the new industry. So I think that's a very good point to just mention about the human aspect of the whole transformation. And I think then beyond that is really summarizing the couple points that I just mentioned in the past 1 hour, is to really define the purpose of your transformation program. Start off by thinking about the burning platform, externally, internally, think about 5 years down the road how your industry would look like, and then from there, what kind of role you want to play, and then defining the digital capabilities. And I think the most critical part of that is have this big picture in mind, but then when you start really defining quick milestones, like I would suggest like something like 3 to 6 months to launch some POCs with a reference in mind, and then leveraging the industry solution out there, right? Because whatever you look for, I'm sure is already out there with the ecosystem play, with the service provider, and fail fast, and then also win fast as well at the same time.
David?
On top of what Ivan just mentioned about, most of you, probably has been trial the IoT business for 2-3 years, right? I believe IoT right now, scale-wise, still small. So some people might feel disappointed or not fast enough. But that's a necessary evil. You want to grow from small to a high impact, you've got to take some time to migrate to there. Again, on behalf of local manufacturers, on behalf of Taiwan industry, or even in Asia, I will urge the audience to think about what is our strength here in Taiwan. What do you think? I will say there are 2 references I will share with you. That one is that Taiwan is very manufacturing-centric. Okay, of course, I'm talking about Taiwan as headquarters. I know a lot of manufacturing, we move to China or Asia, but still, Taiwan has that core of the manufacturing, capability, right? This is a very high impact, economy-wise, it's a very high impact industry in Taiwan, manufacturing sector. This is number one. How can we leverage that? Number 2, that Taiwan has a very, very holistic and very good supply chain in terms of, IT, OT. We have component, we have manufacturing, we have a lot of system integrator, locally, and maybe better is that we also have a lot of the software talent and solution in this island. Okay, so my advice to you is that how can we leveraging the manufacturing capability and this supply chain, the vertical integration supply chain advantage, and by leveraging these 2 foundation, and really can grow this, no matter IoT or digital transformation opportunities in the future. This is really what I see this island, or in Asia, this is where we're good at, and we should use these 2 strengths to enhance our future business growth.
Very well said, gentlemen. So I'd just like to end here by saying we're really living the digital dream as we started the day today when it comes to WCIT Forum. And I'd like to sum up a little bit here as well. From a gentleman himself here, we heard how digital transformation can actually help your business profile further. And it's all about the purpose, right? It's about your customers, it's about internal, it's about external factors as well. And I'd like to think about what David was just saying as well, is about thinking about your own strength, how we can actually relate to that, and how he also mentioned it's all about survival as well. It's about leapfrog the rest of the teams. And I would like to also jump to what Ivan kind of talked to about, which is about thinking big, right? It's about thinking big, but also starting small, right? Using POCs, using pilots. And it's also a lot about ideation, right? Start small, fail fast, and learn fast. And back to what Doug also mentioned just now, it's about change management, so never underestimate what human resource can actually play a massive factor in your digital transformation journey, and that time is really a necessary evil, as kind of David stated earlier on, right? And it's all about the supply chain, and that's why we have this IoT Expo. So for the rest of the day, I think you're going to see about the entire supply chain itself. You're going to be able to actually invest a lot of time to speak to partners. You can actually speak to this panel here right after the session itself. But with that, thank you very much. So for the teams, for everyone who's actually taken a photo earlier on, you can actually post it up on your social media and do a hashtag IoT Expo or hashtag Azure. But with that, really thank you and have a rest of the pleasant day. Thank you.
Thank you, our moderator and our panelists.
To a school for the blind.
今天的议程到此就告一个段落，非常感谢您的参与。在此，请各位贵宾协助填写大会问卷。填写完毕之后，请将您的问卷交到服务台回收。此外，我们在世贸一馆有精彩的展览，也设计了 Booth Tour， 欢迎前往参观。另外，有商务洽谈媒合的机会，在世贸一馆热闹的举行当中，各位可以参考识别证后方的资讯，预先登记。提醒您，离开的时候，请记得您随身所携带的物品。IoT Expo 感谢您的热情参与，谢谢大家，我们明天见。Today's conference has come to the end. Thank you for your attending. We have booth tour in Taipei World Trade Center Hall 1. Welcome to visit. Before leaving, don't forget to take all your belongings with you. Thank you.